All right, we have Dave Rogan in here. Thank you for your time. You're a busy man. Many hats. Many hats. I wouldn't even know where to start with after reading everything about you. But first, where did you grow up?
Well, Tommy, first off, I have to say, thanks for having me on your podcast. It's, truly an honor to meet you, and you're a good friend of a friend. So I was born in Gainesville, Florida, and I moved to Tallahassee when I was about 5 years old, and I remained in Tallahassee, Florida, until 2011. Now I reside down here in South Florida.
So Gainesville, is that where all the football players come from?
Yeah. So
They like chase after squirrels and they get fast. Is that true?
yeah. So I mean, all of Florida is pretty much just a huge pool of just football stars. All the way from Tallahassee all the way down to Miami. Most of them being down in Miami. But yeah, there's a huge a rivalry with the University of Florida Gators and then the Seminoles. So I grew up kind of right in the middle of that.
Right.
As a kid. Yeah.
But is that true though? That out there, is it Gainesville?
You may be thinking of North Florida, where I'm from. Like there's a lot of awesome ball players that came out of my high school. A lot of guys that have, played in the pros and everything. So,
Well, I had this guy that worked for me when I had a vapor shop, and he Rob, where's that at?
It's Belglade, actually.
Belglade. I'm sorry.
Belglade.
Belglade. That's what I'm thinking of.
okay, yeah, that's like way out in the middle of nowhere. It's like
Middle of nowhere.
swamp, mosquitoes,
Everything. And these guys would chase the squirrels. And that's how they got so fast.
And rabbits.
And rabbits. And they would come and beat every record. Like, you would have running backs, like, insane.
Well, that's why the guys in Miami were so good because they're always running from the cops and stuff. You running from cops and like jumping fences.
So I guess it's a cop and squirrel,
shit.
fuck it, right? It's the same thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so you grew up here. You've been here all your life, right?
Yep.
And then you have some brothers and sisters, I saw.
Yep. I have a younger sister. She's 2 years younger. And then I have two older half brothers.
Okay.
So, yep.
And then you got into training because you wanted a six-pack, right?
Yeah, so I initially started because I grew up a skinny kid my entire life, and I wanted to try it for the football team. Well, my football team was number 2 in the country. So after my first year of just getting pulverized, I started going to the gym. I hated it. I hated it for years. And then after I got kind of into it, I saw this guy in my gym, and he was just shredded. And I'm like, dude, like, how can I get abs like that? And he was like, well, you should do a bodybuilding show with me. And I was like, really? Like, you think I could do a bodybuilding show? So I did one. I was only like 160 pounds. I was a small guy, but I really loved it and I enjoyed it because it, gave me a goal and, helped to push me. And then the rest is history. 20 years later, I mean, I just thought I was going to be one and done. And now here I am just doing it all over.
Yeah, you have to airdrop, when we're having a conversation, you have to airdrop that picture of you before all of this. Because if you would see what you were and what you are now, it's crazy. I mean, you're just like a skinny guy, pretty much.
You were bigger than I was.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. So.
Okay, so now you want to train to get the abs, okay? Now you go into the training, but what leads you to the point where you want to become? I understand the guy said, "Hey, look, you should be a bodybuilder." But getting abs is one thing, but then to become where you're going and competing in 70 shows eventually, which we'll get to. I mean, how do you do that?
Well, it's just one of these things. It's very addicting, and when you see progress, and also when you get rewarded for your hard work, because as an adult, there's not really anything out there that you can do to where you get recognition for the hard work you put in. A lot of times, you have jobs where it's like 10 guys doing the same thing. If you work harder versus Joe Bob, you guys get paid the same thing. So why am I working harder? So this is one of these things that where you get gratification for all the work that you put into it. So
okay, so you train, you get the six-pack, and now you make the decision that you want to be a professional bodybuilder? Is that what happened?
No, I mean, it just, it kind of happened. I took about 7 or 8 years of just constantly training about 20 or 30 shows before I was able to get my first pro card. So it's just something that just kind of happened. I just, did it to just, really push me towards a goal. Because I mean, it's one thing to look good. It's another thing to do a bodybuilding show. It's like another level. So I just like having goals, and yeah, it's great, and I'm still at it.
And what's a pro card? Because some people don't know. I don't even know.
Okay, so there is amateur shows and there's professional shows. So basically, when you win an amateur show, if it's a pro qualifying event, now you're a pro, which means now you can actually compete for money, and you compete against other people who have won the amateur shows. So a very similar. It's kind of like with a baseball, you have the minor leagues and like the major leagues. Very, very similar to that. And I have about 3 or 4 pro cards, but they're in drug tested organizations. To where you had to do a polygraph and a urine analysis test and everything like that. And so like they're very strict on that. But yeah, it's great.
So like Ronnie Coleman, he's like on Mount Rushmore, right? Who would be your 5 Mount Rushmore bodybuilders? Just because you've been in it. I mean, look at this guy. I mean, Jesus.
Ronnie Coleman, Kevin Lerone, who competed in over 90 competitions. You have Dexter Jackson, who's actually still competing at age 50 to this day. Of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger. I mean, he put basically bodybuilding on the map, so you had to look towards that as well. So, those are kind of like my top kind of 4, and then you have Dorian Yates. I would say would be like my 5th one.
Yeah. Okay, so now you became an NPC bodybuilder. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
Yes. So there's an organization called the NPC, or the National Physique Committee, and it's the largest bodybuilding organization in the world. And so pretty much it's just based in the U.S. So you have to be a U.S. citizen in order to, go pro at an NPC event, but anyone can compete in an NPC event. So what they have is, well, they used to have levels in Florida, but they got rid of those. They had levels 1 through 5. So depending on, how good you were and if you wanted to go pro or not. So, granted, a level 1 is for someone who is just now starting out. A level 5 is for someone who was looking to get their pro card. Once you won a level 5 show, then you went to a pro qualifying event. And a lot of times it's anywhere between 20. Sometimes I've seen 100 people in one class. And then a lot of times if you win that class or you win the overall, then you get your pro card, your IFBB pro card. And so that's my next goal. That's extremely hard to get, especially as someone who is a lifetime natural. That's pretty much how that goes. It's kind of like in levels. And then once you're professional, then of course you compete for money.
Okay, so what are the different levels? Like Ronnie Coleman is what?
Okay, so Ronnie Coleman is an IFBB pro. Okay,
he's an IFBB pro. Yeah. Okay.
But he's also an 8-time, 7-time Mr. Olympia, which basically means is like, the largest show in the world, the top bodybuilders in the world. So once you go through the NPC and you become a pro, then you do pro shows.
Oh, so you're that close to the pro shows?
No. I mean, it's pretty far. Well, as far as competing in a pro show, I mean, that's not really far off. As far as competing at that level that Ronnie Coleman did, I mean, that's super far off. Because essentially what you have to do is do the NPC, get your pro card, then you do a pro show. You have to win first place at a pro show. And a lot of times it's 15, 20, 30 guys. And I mean, I've had friends that were 300 pounds on stage shredded that didn't win. I mean, it's crazy. So then once you win first place, now you go to the Olympia. And now if you win the Olympia, then you're the #1 bodybuilder in the world. So imagine having to go through those circuits. So it's extremely tough to even compete as a pro. It's even rarer to be a Mr. Olympia. It's very, very, very tough.
So how do you make money from it? Because I'm in the AN. He knows you. You know of him. Great guy. He's a fireman. Yep. He's really a good guy. Now he went to Pittsburgh, and he placed like 3rd or 4th. Big guy. I mean, he trained like hell. But you know, third, I guess, doesn't take it to the next level. So if you want to make money in bodybuilding, okay, so now I go to the gym, I start getting bigger, I hire you, and we'll get to your website, right? Because your website's amazing, and this is not just a bodybuilder. And he's got nice Louboutins on that I want. And a nice suit, too. So what's the process to get to that point where you can make money? Because John was telling me that, I mean, there's like process after process after process before you actually get anything other than a trophy.
Yep. Yeah. So, first off, I met John because we had the same coach, the coach where I was able to get, my training for
Tampa.
leagues. No, this one right up the road here, Dave Melankoff with Fitness
Oh,
Site.
yeah, my uncle.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yep.
I know.
Okay, so in order to get to that point, I mean, it just takes a lot of investing, and a lot of times, for me, it's just kind of, you're investing more money than you're making, and it takes a lot to get to that level to where you're actually making a significant income. Because really, it's, probably the only top, 3 to 5 bodybuilders in the world that are making any type of money doing it. Most people compete because they love it, so.
So, I mean, do you think you compete like as a therapeutic aspect, or you just want to win?
Yeah, so
I mean, I see your drive. You got drive. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
yeah, so I'm very competitive, so I always go into it to win. But just to push myself, just to see, how far I can take it and to see what improvements I can make and getting better each time I get to the stage. So as far as me, it's personal. As long as I'm better every single time I hit the stage, then I'm happy. Because a lot of times with judging, you really don't know how the judging is going to go. There's times where I felt like I looked better than everyone, didn't win. There's times where I felt like I didn't look better and I won. So it just all kind of like depends.
Well, you're going to compete again. So if you don't want to answer this question, just say I plead the fifth. But do you think sometimes it's rigged? Actually, don't even answer that question. Oh, okay. So what?
I try to avoid those shows.
Yeah, yeah. Right.
Actually, happened to my friend. Last weekend, one of my boys, he competed at the USA's in Arizona, and literally should have won the entire show. And I got second place to a guy that really shouldn't have beat him. And then he got his pro card this week at the Olympia. His name is Yoman Eaton. I mean, he's a ridiculous bodybuilder. Yeah,
they had the Olympia with this COVID.
Yep. So they had the amateur now, and then they'll have the pros later. But yeah, shows have been going ahead strong. I mean, there's been shows with like 1,400 people competing in them.
Really?
This year. Yeah. And it's crazy because I competed because I was like, hey, well, this is a good year because gyms are closed,
Maybe I have like a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And literally, it was more people were competing. It was the opposite. It's like people were just so freaking bored and just like sitting around. They're like, well, I might as well eat my chicken and go to the gym. There's nothing else to do. But yeah, like shows have been packed all year.
So who, like right now, like I know Ronnie Coleman. I see him on Rogan, and he's all fucked up from taking all that fucking shit. He can't even walk. He's got hip replacements, knee replacements. I mean, he's a mess. But I mean, you got to give it to him. I mean, the guy was unbelievable, right? Right now, who do you think is the biggest guy?
Well, I mean, right now I don't feel like, bodybuilding isn't as big as it was, and I feel like the guys competing aren't as good as they were at the top level. They're still good. I don't think they were as good. But right now, the top guys that are going at it is Phil Heath. He's won 7 Olympias, and he was trained by Jay Cutler. He's coming back this year to looking to win his 8th. And then there's Brandon Curry, who's looking to retain his title, who looks absolutely insane. But now I feel like a lot of people are watching the classic physique more because it's more of a like aesthetic bodybuilder look, and it's more like obtainable. And I see a lot of professional bodybuilders too actually dropping weight, to compete more as the classic bodybuilder.
Who has Cutler?
Who does?
No, who has Cutler? What's the bodybuilder that has Cutler?
Phil Heath.
Phil, do you know who Phil Heath is?
I've heard of him. Yeah, I heard of Phil Heath. Yeah, definitely.
Well, no, I know Cutler. I've run into him a couple times. Yeah, You know EAS? Remember Bill Phillips?
Yep.
Yeah, I ran into him too.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's old school, man.
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean that's a very interesting story. I'm sure you know all about. I used to read his book. Remember the one? What was the book called?
It was like some ab book or something, wasn't it?
No, he was on the cover with a black shirt, and he was telling his story, and he, because EAS had the creatine, and then they put all the sugar in it, and
Their protein powder was like the worst. It was like drinking like concrete.
Yeah,
It was freaking terrible.
well, it was actually baking powder.
Or,
They
yeah.
tested it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, actually, I was going to say that, but there's a lot of supplement
You don't
companies
say I'll
out
say
there.
it because you're still in
Okay.
the league. No, it was tested by third party. His protein was literally like say you got chocolate, it was just cake mix. If you got vanilla, it was vanilla cake mix. 100%. Like 100%.
That's crazy.
The Cytovol, remember the Cytovol?
Yep.
The one that you would take with the creatine? That was pretty good. That Cytovol was some serious shit. And his creatine was good. But then he mixed it with all the sugar, and then he blew up. And then if you stopped taking it, it was just a balloon.
I remember, back in the day when we would mix the grapefruit juice with the creatine.
Yeah. What did you get, the
Monohydrate?
raw creatine?
Yeah. The
Yeah,
monohydrate, yeah.
You know what I did? I used to put it in when I was trying to get bigger. Not now. I'm 5'10", not 5'9". But, when I was trying to get bigger at the time, I would put it with orange juice, the raw creatine. And it blew me up like crazy. I would take the creatine with the Cytovol, and I gained like 30 pounds. But it was all water weight. I looked like a balloon. You would come in here with a needle and try to pop me 37 times that you could,
Yeah, but back in the day, that was a look. Like, it was cool to be big, and like nowadays it's like, girls just want skinny guys with abs. But it went through like a weird phase to where like the guys with dad bods, like girls like the guys with dad bods. I actually had girls who told me, Dave, like, you're a cool guy, but you're just in too good of shape. I actually like guys with dad bods.
Because you know what they want? They want to go out to dinner and they want to be the center of attention. So if you walk in dressed like this, which, by the way, on camera you can't tell he's dressed immaculate. Beautiful watch, great shoes. I'm going to actually buy those shoes. I like them. I like them. I have the black ones. He's got Louboutin loafers on, the silver ones with the spikes.
We can, wear them out together. We'll match.
Yeah. I wear my black ones. Rob, who's whiter than the wall behind him, we'll get him a pair of red ones.
I like red.
Red's good. Red's good. Yeah.
Yeah, but you got the red bottoms, motherfucker.
There you go.
You got the red bottoms. Forget about it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you're sharp, man. I'm impressed. So now you get into this, right? Now, are you able? Your diet? How was your diet? Okay, so now I'm sorry, I misspoke. So now you're building. You're over the six-pack thing. So now you're kind of getting to the point where you want to compete. Now, how was your diet?
So, years ago, I've done every single diet you can possibly imagine, between paleo, keto, whatever, you name it.
What's paleo? I haven't heard of that one.
It's just, I kind of like a basic diet with like nuts and like, essential carbs and stuff like that.
But aren't nuts just full of fat?
Yeah. And like the keto is more of like, a high protein, high fat, a lower carb diet. So it just all kind of like depends on what works for you. But for the last 7 years, I've been doing what's called flexible dieting. And it's kind of like the new craze nowadays. So because what's happening is all these people, they compete, they eat, quote unquote clean, then they lose the weight, they compete, and then they blow up like 20 or 30 pounds. So years ago, I would say like 2009, there's a group of guys who I got together who invented flexible dieting, or IIFYM. It's called If It Fits Your Macros. So what it basically states is, as long as you hit your macros for the day, your protein, your carbs, and your fat, you can eat whatever you want.
What's macros?
Okay, so a macro is short for a macronutrient. and it's your protein, your carbs, and your fat. So it basically states as long as you hit those numbers, you can eat whatever the fuck you want every day. So, I have, people competing that are having wine every night or going out to dinner every single weekend. So finding something that is sustainable, getting in shape, and now you know how to sustain it. And I mean, it's awesome. I mean, I did it, for my last competitions last year and this year. And I haven't meal prepped in like 7 years. I was tired of meal prepping. Me and the boys went out to dinner and drinks every single weekend, so I lived a very, very normal lifestyle for my last preps. And, truth be told, I mean, I couldn't, prep the normal way again, the normal way.
But when you say that, though, right? I know what you do. We're going to get to your website and all the great things that you do. But everybody's different. So I'm not like you. Rob's not like you. How do you figure out? Because you go by like a guideline. Like bullshit PCPs, I hate them. I hate PCPs. You don't say it, I'm saying it. Okay. I fucking hate them. So they go by these guidelines where they take 5,000 people. And this guy's got this guy's got that, and they average it out. So now, if your testosterone is 900, mine is 200, they average that out, and they say, just to make a simple example that really doesn't make any sense, but the average would be 600. So now they put on the guidelines, well, if you're under 600, you need testosterone. If you're over 1,200, you have a problem. Well, maybe my body just produces a shit ton of testosterone.
If you're over 1,200, you're just an animal.
Well, no, I went and got tested by Modell. You know Modell is? He's a HRT guy.
Okay, yep.
And my SPH
all the way around
was through the roof. My testosterone was through the roof, and they were like, "Oh, geez." But then my father was the same way. He was really high. He's 76. The guy's at 1,100. At 76.
Good genes.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So when you go to look at that, to try to get somebody on a diet, how do you do that? Because I would think that'd be very difficult to say, like, okay, well, you're eating this, and that, but now you come to me, and here's my levels, which the blood test is half fucked up, half not fucked up, right? Now, so I hire you from your website, and I say, look, train me, tell me what to eat. How would you go about me? Because I'm completely different than you.
Okay, so I'll have you fill out just a brief questionnaire because just like you said, everybody's different. I mean, I've had identical twins that had different, numbers they had to hit.
Identical twins? Really?
Yes. I mean, I've had identical twins that literally had different, macros, they had to hit, One was a construction worker. One was a salesman behind a desk, so one is going to require more calories. And so then once you fill out the questionnaire, I mean, lots of things go into play as far as the variables. I mean, your age, what type of diet you're currently on right now, because, granted, if, you're coming off of a competition diet, it's going to be different than someone who was just Joe Blow off the street. So everything, goes into play with that. And then I determine, what you need specifically for you based on, based on your lifestyle.
Okay, so I hire you, right? Which, I mean, once we go through everything that you do, I would hire you. So now I don't want to be puffy. Maybe I want just to be a little bit bigger, but I don't want a puffy face. I don't want any of this shit. I have 2 cheat meals a week. Wednesday and Saturday to shock my body. The other days I eat granola bars, peas, vegetables, chicken. That's it. I run 2.5 miles in the treadmill with the sweatsuit. Then I go in the sauna for 30 minutes, sweat that out. Then I eat my first meal of the day. Then I go out to my backyard. I work out in my gym. So now if I want 10 pounds, what would you tell me?
Well, I believe in working smarter, not harder. And then finding something that is sustainable to you. So what I believe in is, because, I get this question a lot. Like guys are like, hey, listen, well, I want to put on 10 pounds, but I don't really want to bulk. And bulking is overrated. That's why I do what's called a reverse dieting, where I slowly increase your caloric intake over a period of time. So like that way, what we're doing is we're staying leaner, actually getting leaner and putting on muscle at the same time. So what I would do starting out is I would say, okay, we're going to cut out all of your cardio. You're just going to weight train. And instead of having your cheat meals on Wednesday and Saturday, I'm going to teach you how to eat those foods every single day. Hey, guess what? If you want pizza every single day, I'll teach you how to fit that in. I mean, you know, I've had guys.
But Dave, how would you possibly do that without shocking the body? Because the body's going to adapt.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, it's about calories in, calories out. And, you know, a lot of times, you know, people are like, okay, well, you have to shock the body in order to do that. But at the end of the day, that's all that really matters.
Look, I'm looking at you, so I'm listening to you.
Yep.
So I believe that you have to shock the body. You don't think you do?
Nope.
No.
No. You know, it's all about sustainability and finding something that you can maintain. Because, you know, you're not going to be able to do 2 hours of cardio a day every day for the rest of your life. It's just not going to happen.
Well, I could because I had motivation.
Right.
You could too because we're
Right.
nuts. Well, people call us crazy. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
But I just think that's a man, right?
Yeah. But I mean, you know, let's say if you go on a vacation for a week,
Yeah.
you're not going to do 2 hours of cardio in the morning. You know?
So what I do is I find a way. I get a hotel that has a treadmill.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, but,
okay.
but you're right. But everybody's not going to do that though, right? But me and you are nuts, or called nuts. You're not nuts. I'm nuts.
But, you know, if I could tell you, hey, listen, so we're going to spend half the time training, more time eating food and enjoying life, and you're going to look better. And so, like, that's the goal, you know?
Really? And you don't shock the body at all? No. Wow. I'm now looking at you. I have to listen to this because all my life, everything I read, I would believe you have to shock the body because you would adapt.
Back in the day with, you know, the ketosis diet, you know, that's something you did have to do with a high protein, high fats diet, you know, and in order to keep your body in a state of ketosis, you would need a refeed every 7 to 10 days. But as far as shocking your body, I mean, there's all these magic tricks that people do, or, you know, to try to do this and that. And at the end of the day, it's just about sustainability, calories in, calories out, and also consistency. You know, consistency is the biggest thing. And I would say 85% of people fail, you know, because of consistency, and they get discouraged. Because most people are like, okay, well, I've been going to the gym for a month. Okay, I haven't lost any weight. Now I'm going to quit. You know, well, that's when you had to keep pushing. And like, that's the hardest thing to do, is to keep trying when you're not seeing immediate progress. And here in America, that's how it is. Like, people want something, they want it now. They don't want to wait for it, you know? Amazon Prime, okay, I want something, I can get it here tomorrow, you know?
Yeah.
And so,
That's
you know,
that's USPS that made that deal, by the way. That's why when you send something USPS, it sucks.
yeah,
But that goes through USPS.
really.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's one other story.
And, you know, there's also this meme, you know, it says, you know, your body's not Amazon Prime. It's not going to show up in 2 days. But people expect that. Like, they literally expect, you know, to, you know, follow a plan for a week and look like a completely different person, just have a six-pack all of a sudden.
That's interesting. So you don't believe in shocking the body. So you think adapting to a regimen that you can deal with and then decreasing something, increasing something else, and then you'll get the results that you want.
Yeah,
That's
so
interesting.
yeah, so you know, really the you know, the way that works is called reverse dieting, because on average you need about 3,500 calories as far as the deficit to lose 1 pound of body fat.
3,500 calories?
Yeah, on average. So normally what someone will do is they'll say, okay, well, I want to lose weight, so I'm going to start eating clean, and I'm going to do 2 hours of cardio a day, and then guess what? As soon as you stop it, you gain all the weight back. It's not sustainable. And it's because of the calories and the caloric deficit. So what I do, it's called a reverse diet. So we start you off in a deficit, you know, very little cardio, very, very little to zero cardio. And then every single week we'll increase your calories just a little bit, you know, to get your body, you know, I guess adapted to that new caloric goal. And it may only be, you know, 40 or 50 calories a week. And, you know, but, you know, throughout the course of it all, it's still a deficit of 3,500 calories. And then we get to what we call, you know, your caloric maintenance, to where you're, you know, to where you're just maintaining. And from there, we have a larger ceiling as far as to add more of a deficit, because again, it's going to take that 3,500 calories. But if we have more room to work with, you know, then it's more sustainable, less cardio, and you're still able to enjoy your favorite foods every
Wow.
single day. So.
Wow, that's very interesting. Now, what do you think about sodium?
Okay, so with sodium, there's a lot of people who
Salt.
who are concerned with sodium and sugars and all of that. And again, it's just all about sustainability. With sodium, there are some people that tend to gain water weight, and that's just basically just because of their adrenal glands. It gets your it takes about maybe 3 or 4 months for your adrenal glands to get used to the high sodium levels. I take in anywhere between 5 and 8,000 milligrams of sodium per day.
You take 5 to 8,000 milligrams of sodium a day?
Every single day.
Well, you got different genetics than everybody else, pal.
Well, it's because my body is now used to it, and I guess adapted.
5,000 milligrams of sodium a day?
5 to 8,000 is what I'm consuming a day.
I would think you'd walk in here as a balloon.
Yep. So, but my body's just
You
used
know
to
more
it.
than me, but 8,000 milligrams of fucking sodium? Jesus. Wow, bro. That's a lot. Okay, so you get into you just threw me off on that one. I was trying to get to it, but damn. Wow.
Yeah.
Now,
and I
now
mean,
right here, how much sodium were you taking with those legs?
Well, I mean, that was about 7 years ago. I think my sodium was a little bit lower than maybe like around 2,500 to 3,000 then. But the difference is I now do the flexible dieting, so I eat normal foods. So eating the Chipotle every day and the Chick-fil-A every day, it's really high in sodium. So that shot my sodium way up there. And the protein shakes high in sodium. So
You take protein shake a lot?
yeah, I mean, it just makes things easier.
What do you think is the best one out there right now?
Well, right now I take one called Iron Maid, and it's a good friend of mine. He's been in the industry for like 30 or 40 years, and he makes his own protein. So I know what goes in it, because just like you said, the EIS protein was baking soda. So this is so it's one of the only proteins that I can digest that doesn't mess up my stomach, and I know that whatever goes in that protein, that's exactly what is in there.
So what's on the label is what's in it.
Correct. Yeah.
What do you think about Optimum? Because I've had guys in here like they can't even sit in a seat, and they all take Optimum.
Well, I have a friend that was sponsored by Optimum Nutrition, right? I'm not going to name names.
Yeah, no, don't.
Got free protein and literally didn't use it.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
And that's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, we'll just let it down and move on. Okay, so now as you're in your bodybuilding career, right? So now you're past the six pack, now you're getting huge. Were you able to maintain a relationship with all that?
You mean as far as like staying huge, or like staying a six pack, or
Like having a girlfriend, because you have to diet, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had to be miserable at times because you're hungry. Like, okay, so what was the mental and emotional effect on you personally when you're developing this?
Well, honestly, like after doing it for so many years, it's just dormancy, and
But I mean, in the beginning.
yeah, and I mean, you get used to being miserable. You really, really do. Starting out, like, I mean, I was never really that type of person, like my temperament's always been, very, very smooth and easy.
Yeah, you're very calm.
You're
very calm and relaxed.
Plus two, I am a natural bodybuilder, so that's partly it too. Because I mean, I know sometimes when you start adding other variables and supplements, that could definitely like, change some moods there.
Yeah, so you were able to handle the mental and emotional like cost of dieting like that or watching what you eat. You didn't let that affect any other part of your life.
Yeah, and I kind of learned how to kind of work it in there, and I competed all the way throughout college. So imagine going to like the number one party school in the country, and it's the FSU University of Miami game. All your friends are getting hammered, and I'm eating a chicken breast. So there's times where I did party and have a good time, but then there's times where I knew where I had to kind of buckle down and not participate.
And when you say like when your friends are partying, you would eat that chicken breast. What gave you that power to just say, look, well, I partied last night, but tonight I'm gonna eat this chicken breast and broccoli, and you do your thing? Like, how did you get that power?
because I knew in 4 weeks I had to stand on stage in front of hundreds of people in a little tiny Speedo.
Pretty good reason.
So I'm like, all right.
All right. Okay. Well, just got rocked on that one.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's why I did it, because otherwise I would have that drink, or I would do this or that, And I mean, like, granted, now with flexible dieting, I'm able to do that all the time now. But back in the day when I was eating
But
clean,
you didn't understand that at the time. Yeah,
Correct.
Yeah, and that's why you opened up, the company that you have that we're going to get to. Wow. Yeah. I mean, but it takes drive, though. I mean, you got to be strong. I mean, it's tough. And now, when you're at that point, you're in college, you have that goal, right? You know you have a competition in 4 weeks. Were you able to have a girlfriend or a relationship with a significant other while you're doing this?
So, actually, a lot of times, having a girlfriend actually makes it, kind of easier, because I don't have to go out there and party and stuff like that. So a lot of times it makes it easier, but at the same token, I always want to, dating some pretty crazy girls. So, it would have been hard either way, whether I'm dieting for a show or not. It was all going to be a roller coaster.
So you were able to deal with it all.
Yeah.
Probably because you weren't on steroids, right? Because I've had other guys in that are probably are twice as big as you, and then would say, I would come home miserable. I mean, obviously they were on things, well, everybody can choose to do whatever they want to do. And they would have a tough time saying, look, I had a bad day, I'm hungry, I don't want to hear what you have to say. But you were able to just deal with it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think too, just doing it for so long, again, I just got used to it. And, I got used to being hungry,
Yeah.
Because, after doing it, a couple of times, how you're going to feel. Okay. You're going to be tired some days, and, you just deal with it. So
what was your therapy? You had to have some type of therapy. Some people go to a therapist. Some people read, they run, they look at the sand, the ocean. What was your therapy when you were going through this to look like this guy?
My therapy was strictly the gym, and I mean, that's always kind of been my sanctuary. The gym.
What's that? Oh, the gym.
Yep.
Oh, that was where you released everything.
Yep. So, if I had a bad day, just load a bunch of plates on, and, by the end of the day, I'm in a great mood, So, I think that really, kind of took a lot of the anger and animosity away of any kind of situation, because, we all had bad days, whether it's at work or like girlfriend, but having that gym as, my therapy has really been a savior these last years.
Now, when your family, your brothers and your sisters and your family, they see you going to 70 shows, right?
Yes. Yep. 70.
What do they think about all this?
Well, my family is very, very conservative. So, and of course I was raised in the Bible Belt. So,
okay. So I moved down here 6 months ago, so I don't.
So basically,
Gainesville
growing
to
up,
me is like the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, it really is. There's nothing out there.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's really like, just nothing out there. But yeah, so growing up, I wasn't allowed to walk around the house with my shirt off. We weren't allowed to close our doors. It was very, very conservative household. So when I first started bodybuilding, my parents didn't really care for it too much, their son in a Speedo. And I mean, even some days I think that, my father would rather have me, play golf than prance around in a Speedo oil up on stage. But it is what it is,
So the first one you went to and your father saw it, what'd he say? There's my son in a Speedo. And you said he's conservative. So I look at that kind of like as an Italian family, like mine. I can only imagine what he was thinking in his head.
So it's kind of funny that you say that. So the first show that I did was at, the college that I went to at the time. And it wasn't like these regulated shows. It was almost like it almost turned into like a hard body contest, because you had all these girls in the audience and everything. So that was the first one that they went to. And so it wasn't a really good experience for them. And they're like, you want to do this? And I'm like, no. I'm like, come to this other show in 2 weeks. You'll see what it's really like. So they came to the show in 2 weeks, and they saw what it was like. And they, had a better feeling about it. But granted, it's just like I said, I mean, they didn't want their son in a Speedo. But, you know, it is what it is.
So they started to respect it, but just like my family and your family, you know, what I mean, you're African American, right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. You know how many guys have come in here that are African American and say, well, African American and Italian families are the same? I've heard that like probably 7 times.
I believe it, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we went to church every single Sunday and everything else.
Like
you know?
like there was rules at the house. If you didn't follow them, it wasn't going to be good, right? I
Yep.
mean, I'm just speaking.
I never taught back to your mom or dad, you know, or you got slapped in the mouth. Like that's how it was back in the day, you know. Like
Yeah.
that's how we learned respect. And nowadays, these kids, they just don't have it.
Don't
You know what I
even-
mean?
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started.
I'm like, you talk to your mother that way, I would be frightened for my life.
I gotta ask this, and now I'm gonna. If depending on your answer, I'm gonna believe that the African American and the Italian are related. The other guy sold me, but you'll sell me because I see how you present yourself.
Are from the waist down, maybe we're related.
Well, shit, I'll take that any motherfucking day. I'll take that one. That's a clip right there. You hear what he said?
Yes.
I want that one on clip. But if you went to school and you got beat up by that guy, but then your dad came in and beat your ass again and asked why you didn't get beat up.
Yeah, you know what? That's how I learned how to, you know, fight and hold my own. Because I literally got bullied and picked on every single day of my life. And there was this kid that my father found out literally was bullying me every day for a year and a half. Would, you know, push me in the lockers, all this kind of stuff. And he's like, son, well, why don't you defend yourself? And I'm like, well, you know, like growing up as a Christian, it was turn the other cheek and walk away from any controversy. And he was like, well, listen, well, don't come home unless you handle that. And I was like, well, what'd I do? He said, just push him off of you and just let loose and don't stop until you're tired. And that's what I did. I literally pushed him against the locker. I just let loose on him. Boom, 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 boom. And then he had black eyes and he was crying to the teachers about, oh, well,
Now,
Dave,
did he say that in front of your mom? Or he said that to you one-on-one?
He definitely said it to me one-on-one. Definitely not in front of my mother.
All right, I'm sold. We're related. Because this is what would happen with me, right? So if I went to school and I got in fights too, you know what I mean? Somebody was fucking with me, and I get in a fight, lose, come home. My mom wouldn't tell my dad, but then my dad would find out and be like, "What happened?" I'm like, "Well, I got punched. Why didn't you punch back?" "Well, I just got beat." Then I got beat again by him, and then my grandfather found out, who was 6'6", and a guy you do not want to fuck with.
So you got 3 ass beatings.
Three
It was only supposed to be one. You
And
got
then
3.
he would come in and I would hear this. Psh, that was the belt. Go in the room, tell my mom, hey, look, get out of here. Beat again. And they would say to me, you make sure you handle this. So next time I get in a fight, now I know if I lose, my dad's going to whoop my ass and my grandfather's going to find out somehow. And I'm going to get my ass kicked 3 times. So now you go crazy because shit. You go home. It's not good.
If that's not motivation, I don't know what is.
Yeah, but they took that all away now. You
Yeah.
touch somebody, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's insane, you know?
I think that, we're getting off whatever, but we're just hanging out, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I think it's so fucked up. Because if what are you going to do? Put your kid in a fucking room and say, hey, sit in the room for 2 hours. I know me. I'm sure you know you. Okay, I sit in the room for 2 hours. I have an iPad hidden under the bed. I got my other iPad hidden under the bed. I got my other phone. I got my Xbox hidden under there. I got no problem with that. I'm going to do the same thing again. But if I have fear, then maybe I'm going to think twice after the second or third time. So I think everybody should read Machiavelli. I always say this in every interview. You ever read Machiavelli?
I read some quotes, here and there, but
Yeah, quotes is all you need, And I keep saying this, which I don't care what the comments say because I don't read them. But, he says that if love would work, we wouldn't be in this situation. But if I had to choose love over fear, I would rather be feared.
Well, I believe children need, to have 3 things from their parents. A fear, a love, and a respect. They need those 3 things. So,
I agree
it's
with you
not just
100%.
one, but you need all 3 of them,
Yeah.
And, it's important that, you feel your parents, but you also know that they love you as well, and then you respect them. I mean, all of that is just so important, and you don't see any of it nowadays. I mean, how many times do you go into Target or you're on an airplane and you hear these kids? It's, I mean, it's absolutely insane. I mean, I've heard like kids telling their parents, I'm going to call the cops on you and all this other kind of stuff because they're telling them to be quiet, and I'm like,
Or they're like 6 or 8 years old saying asshole. Like you're an asshole. Now, in our day, and Rob's day too, you're going to call your father an asshole?
I didn't curse around my family at all. You
Me
kidding
neither.
me?
But going back to your point, right, Dave, is that my dad would beat my ass. My grandfather would beat my ass, but it was over. Once he beat my ass, we're all cool. We're back out playing football. We're out playing basketball. We're doing whatever. There's no grudges, but don't let it happen again. So I got whooped. I'm crying, laying in bed, whatever, but then it's over. There's no grudges. It's done. And then he would show me that, both of them would show me the love again. You want to go to McDonald's? Sure. I'll take a Happy Meal. This time.
Yeah.
I had a scholarship to North Carolina for running back.
Oh, nice. Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
very cool.
And the quarterback, he had thrown a pass, and it was a cross pass. And I just knew it was coming. I got, it was a head-on collision with 2 of them, and a really serious concussion. So I couldn't play for a year. And then, things just went weird after that. But, yeah, I had a full scholarship for running back. I broke I had more touchdowns and more yards than anybody in Pennsylvania,
wow.
every record.
Wow.
Yeah. And basketball, too.
A white boy for a running back, you had to be fast.
I was fast as fuck. But you know what? Because what would happen is that my grandfather would come in, and it would be, and Rob's heard this a million times, but it's just fun to tell, So there'd be snow everywhere, and he'd have me in a T-shirt, and my mom would be like, no, you can't go out there. She's cooking food and shit, Italian woman. He's coming out. So now I'm in like 2-degree weather. And my grandfather was a football coach. So he's throwing balls that I can't catch. So now I'm going to dive in this snow over and over again. So you catch this ball, we can go in. But he'd throw them where it was like impossible to catch them. Now after an hour, we throw one where I could get. We'll do it 10 more times. I got a T-shirt on in 2 degrees. If it's 190 degrees, now I got sweatshirts on and everything. So now I'm sweating to death. I'm thinking I'm going to die of heat. Okay, but now I'm catching balls and playing basketball and this shit. But now when I went onto the field against competition, it's cold out. My hands are cold. I don't need no heating pad.
Say nothing.
I've been doing this 3 times.
I played in the snow.
I've been doing this 3 times a week, diving in the snow. And that's what made me so good, was because the heat, the cold, it didn't bother me. And then we would have like these things where he would throw the ball right into it, where I knew when I dived to get that ball, it was like barriers. You know what I mean? Like the blocks. I knew it was going to hurt my shoulder, but I had to dive because I wanted to go in and eat. So it would hurt, and I would get hurt. So now when I went and played, when I got hit, I was like, come on, man. You're 300 pounds bigger than me. Now I like to get hit. I actually enjoyed getting hit. It was really weird.
Sports, build a character.
Yeah.
And, I think a lot of times they're, getting on the coaches for being coaches, which, I mean, growing up, playing football, your coaches are always screaming at you. Yeah, I did. I played some football. But, your coaches were screaming at you, cussing at you, your mama, this and that. I mean, it builds character, man. Like, I mean, you go through, some of the, a season, playing football with the practices and the games and everything, you can endure anything. Nothing that anyone can ever say can ever hurt your feelings ever. Like,
No.
you just can't.
I heard all because remember, I heard from my grandfather, my father, then I heard from the coaches at the time. Like let's just say I won't catch a pass. That was like almost impossible to catch. I mean, it was thrown way over me. You know what I mean? But you come back and they're cursing you up and down. You better pull you off the field. I'm breaking records left and right. You're gonna pull me off right now on like a 3rd and 8? Really? You think I can't get by these guys? No, motherfucker, you're going to learn. And, but through that whole thing, it built me the man I am today. Now, I haven't done everything right, but I consider myself a man. I mean, I'm not afraid of the cold or the heat. And at first I didn't understand. I'm like, why is this asshole making me run around in a t-shirt in 2 degrees? But again, when I went onto the field, Dave, it could be -10. At least I got something on me.
Yeah, exactly. I have shoulder pads.
So everybody's like this, and they got the heat pads. Fuck that. I don't even need gloves. I'm just killing shit, you know. But then I got hit because I had to catch that pass, and then things went weird after that.
Yeah, and I mean, like just like you said, I mean, it really does help you with everything in life. When you go through, sports, and just like you're catching these impossible catches. Now, when you get to be an adult, guess what? Now you're doing the impossible things, and now you're not getting discouraged when one business thing doesn't work out for you, and so it really does help you in life. And I mean, I'm so thankful, and I mean, I know you are too, just from the background we had and playing sports and really growing up like that.
I believe it that we're related, fully. I do. 7 guys. He was here for probably 3 of them. We have like the same type of like genetics, like deep down, you know what I mean? And family in the old days. Now it's all weird. But, but it does because you don't give up. Because I was taught, and I think you were taught too, there's 2 things in life. There's a winner and a loser. There is no middleman.
There's no participation medal. Like now you get a medal just for showing up.
I was just going to ask you about that. Now, because I know you got a lot of trophies and shit. Now, what do you think about today where they're, everybody gets a trophy?
Frankly, I think it's bullshit, because guess what? It's not how life works, And not everyone's going to get that job. Not everyone's going to get that girl or that car. And it's teaching our kids now how to grow up to where, okay, well, just for being here, I should get rewarded for it. No, that's not how life works. You'll show up, work harder than everyone and not get rewarded for it. And that's how life is. And I think it's kind of sending our kids like the wrong message that, hey, listen, okay, well, that's okay. Here's a medal, and I mean, I really believe it's, the wrong way to do things. And everyone's just so scared of offending people nowadays. They're, scared of, getting, called, being abuses to their kids and everything instead of like going back to what parenting needs to be,
Yeah, and I think that's what we're seeing right now with all the addiction and the drug problem is because there was nobody there, and I'll say it because you're still competition, you're with Universal, you're doing a lot of things, but I think it's because nobody beat their ass. Now you touch them, oh, you bullied me, oh, I go to school, oh, my dad hit me. Well, look, yeah, I did. Now I'll go do time for that. I got no problem.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'll take it because I know that he or she needed that. And now it's just like, I don't know. Just the way that we were raised, the way things are now is just it's almost sad to watch when you grew up like you and I did, and so did Rob. His dad was a tough dude too, and it's just crazy to think that you're going to just put the kid in a room and he's going to listen. Or, put him on Zoom and act like he gives a fuck about what that teacher's saying over this COVID. Okay, who gives a fuck? Kids that get COVID is 1 in a gazillion. And if they do get it, they get it for 2 or 3 days. Now you want to keep them home. They don't give a fuck about that Zoom. They're going to cheat to do their homework. They're going to do whatever they're going to do. They got no social interactiveness. So now that it takes away their social ability in life. Now when they're done with all this, how the fuck are they going to get a job? They're going to go to college and spend what? What, Dave? 60, 80,000 in college tuition? Yep. Especially if things don't turn around.
Mm-hmm.
And then what? Okay, so now they get out. Where are you going to get a job? What are you going to do? Because you got no discipline.
Oh, well, you know what? I don't even get me started with the education system.
No, I want to because I want to hear the other side of you. We all know that you're jacked and have insane legs and dressed like a beast. You see his pocket handkerchief?
Let's see.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh. Yeah, kind of,
Nice. He's sharp motherfucking dude.
Kind of like, uplands in with the shirt a little bit. So, yeah. So, but, I think the USA, I think we're, 147th as far as countries wise, as far as our education system. And I mean, it's garbage. And, you know, you look at countries like Finland, that was one of the worst, and they're actually number one right now. And what
Finland
they,
is?
yep,
Really?
yep. And you know what they've actually done is very interesting. So they've actually shortened school days to only about 3 or 4 hours a day. And then what they do is they spend more time outside learning things. Instead of reading about a squirrel, hey, guess what? That's a squirrel out there. Hey, guess what? That's a hummingbird, you know, right there. Hey, you know, this is what type of tree this is. So they actually had the kids outside learning, and they actually made homework illegal.
Okay, so they go to school for 4 hours a day. Do they like give them homework? Hey, go figure out about the squirrel
No,
or whatever.
homework is illegal in Finland. They don't
Really?
give any kids homework because, you know, having such a young mind and a short, you know, attention span, having a kid in school for 8 hours and then homework, they're not going to be engaged with it. So what they've done is they've shortened the days. They eliminated homework. Their students are learning more and becoming, you know, smarter, more, you know, more intelligent and learning real world things. And, you know, it's like, if you look at schooling now, when's the last time that someone did a class on, you know, your credit score or doing your taxes or anything that you can use into, in today's society, or balancing your checkbook? You know, they don't have anything like that in schools. And then they expect to, you know, teach you some, you know, stuff that happened 400 years ago that doesn't even matter. And now you're an adult and you don't even know how to write a checkbook. Like, I know grown men who don't know how to write a checkbook.
Dave, I graduated high school, right? And I got hit in the head, and then I got involved in things I shouldn't have. But if I would have went to college, first off, I would have failed. The only way I would have not failed was just because I was so good at sports. You know what I mean? But I couldn't pay attention to the bullshit because I knew then, okay, history class. Okay, now it's like, you know, I agree with this. I actually do. I've never heard this before. Have you? But it makes a lot of sense, right? Because now if I'm at school for 8 hours a day, I'm looking at girls, I'm doing whatever I'm doing, I go to lunch. Now, if English is at the 7th hour or history is at the 6th hour, I don't want to hear this shit. And then I go in there and I think, how am I ever going to use this shit? Right? Like, I don't even know who, like, right now, if you ask me who was the first president, I don't know. Nor do I care. Because how is that going to benefit me now? Like optometry or like octagons and shit, like calculus. I tried to take calculus. It's not that I couldn't have figured it out. I mean, look at the studio. I did this in 2 months, okay? But I'm like, no, I paid somebody to do my homework because it means nothing to me. I haven't used calculus one day in my life. What I've used my entire life is basic math, motivation from fear, and probably a little bit of English, which my grammar isn't good. I probably should have paid a little bit more attention, not knowing I was going to do this, but
I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty solid.
it's pretty bad. 'Cause if you say like a big word to me, I have no idea what the hell it means. But I play the card. You know what I mean? But I totally agree with you. Yeah, 4 hour days. But now, how when you say that, right? Now, how does the kid get the motivation to go wonder what a squirrel's doing? By the way, I really like squirrels.
Well,
They're really
I mean,
intelligent. You know how intelligent they are?
you know, I just to say, hey, you know, let's go play outside, you know, and then you're actually learning things or you're building things, you know, you're being, you know, more constructive. And that keeps the kids, you know, more engaged. But even nowadays, if you look at the most successful people out there, you know, the most intelligent people out there, guess what? None of them really went to school. I mean, you know, Elon Musk, you know, made a quote and he said, listen, you know, I didn't go to Harvard or any of those schools, but guess what? The people that work for me did, you know? And I mean, even down here, you know, the most successful people that you see down here don't have a quote unquote formal education, you know, but they have street smarts. You know, they grew up, you know, to learn to never take failure for an option. You know, they, you know, learn to, you know, keep trying even when things seem bleak.
So
and,
Dave,
you know, that's what's most important.
this brings back to what you do for a living, right? How do you not just trying to get bigger? I've read every single page on your website. how do you how do you get that back? You know, how do you get that back where look, this trophy for 10th place doesn't mean shit. You want that first one because now they're doing this shit. And if Biden gets in, you don't say it, I'm going to say it. Okay? Because you're going to compete. You'll come back again. I'm going to have those shoes. And when you come back again, we'll talk differently. But if he gets in, I mean, it's fucked. You know it. I know it. Don't even
Except
answer
for Florida, because, you know, a
DeSantis
is
he's
the
a
shit.
beast. Yep.
At first, you know, I wasn't really like a fan, you know, because I
I'm
mean, he's
with you.
not like the, you know, most well-spoken governor. And, you know, probably the best governor we had was Walkin' Lawton, you know, Childs years ago. And I was good friends with his grandson growing up. But anyway, DeSantis, I mean, he's done just a stellar job because he gives zero fucks. He's like, listen, this is what's best, and then we're going to do it. I mean, look up in New York and, you know, all the restaurants and bars that are
California,
closing.
yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely crazy. You know, it took these
we're
people's
got-
livelihood.
And Dave, we're God's waiting room. We have all the old people here. They're about to die. And our death rate isn't crazy. And we supposedly have everything open up, but you know, I have some people in here, they're harassing them, but, you know, once you file a complaint, they leave you alone. But now we're opened up, right? Okay, this is God's waiting room. Everybody comes down to Florida before they're about to die for one reason or another. It's opened up.
Well, and I mean, plus everyone knows that Florida, that New York is a feeder state for Florida anyway, you know? And I honestly...
Wait. New York is a feeder state for Florida. What do you mean?
Correct. So if you think about it, just, you know, the cost of living and everything in New York versus Florida, you know, it's almost like a feeder state. I mean, think about, you know, all the people up north that have, you know, properties down here and businesses and everything else, you know, because, you know, the rent's a lot cheaper, everything else. So I listen a lot to like Grant Cardone, and he says, you know, listen, you know, you shouldn't live in California. He said, I grew up in California, you know, it's a shithole. He's like, California, New York, those are the two states you shouldn't live in. He goes, that's why I live in Miami. You know, everything is less expensive. You know, I'm able to, you know, invest more and everything else. So,
Yeah. How do I say his name right? DeSantis?
DeSantis?
DeSantis. Yeah, he's a beast. He's a beast. So now I think he could be the next president. With the Trump backing, I think he could.
Well, I mean, I don't think he's well spoken enough to be the president.
Now.
I think that, you know,
he's got the potential. Like we were talking about Molden.
I could see him being like a senator or something like that, you know? But, you know, maybe if he, you know, had some guidance and things like that, possibly so. I don't know, you know? All I know is when these elections come by, you know, I just say one thing to myself. I'm like, okay, so there's 330 million people in this country. These are the best two fuckers we got. Like, come on. Like, you couldn't find anybody better. And, you know, that's just my honest opinion, you know. You know, I don't really have to talk, you know, much politics.
Just one more thing I'll ask you.
Sure.
Yeah, and I'll say it, and then just... So I didn't like Cruz at first. I thought he was like a weirdo, not good bullshit. But I think he's done a 360. What do you think about Cruz?
Well, like the problem is, you know, from what we see on the outside, you know, there's usually a lot more going on. And a lot of times, when people make changes, it's not genuine, you know? Especially when it's like that.
That's why I said, because I never thought about that.
Yep.
What do you think about Cruz, Rob?
I don't know. Like he kind of said with some of these politicians, they give you one answer, they tell you something, they're firmly on it, and all of a sudden now they're switching at the last minute because
like Christie.
It fits it just fits, right? It's with the populace. I don't know.
I don't think I'll ever trust a politician ever in my life. I just won't believe anything they say.
Well, once you see what's going on, you can't. You know what I mean? You just can't. I mean, I'm saying now, you said I say this every time that there's like some big wig in here, like you are. You know what I mean? You're a big wig. Okay, you're pretty big, right? And you know, it's so corrupt. It's the most corrupt thing I've ever seen, and I've seen a lot of corrupt shit, and I've never seen anything like this. And don't you reply to that because you got a competition to do. I'm just saying it. I've never seen so much corruptness in my life. If I would have done 0.0000001% of what these people did, I'd be doing a 20 piece.
Oh yeah, easy, easy.
It's just so corrupt. I mean, fuck. All right, so you go to the bodybuilder show. So you did 70 of them.
Yep, around 70, maybe like a little bit more, but
Over how much time?
over around 20 years. So you know, some years I competed more than others. I think 2013 I did the most shows in 1 year. I did 8 in 1 year, which is considered a lot. And 4 of those I did with a hernia, so that was pretty tough.
Now, don't you have to bulk up and then cut down?
So yeah, I've done that a couple of times, but it's just, you know, kind of not conclusive because it's, you know, it's not productive because it's, you know, to gain just to lose again, you know. So, you know, the goal is, you know, being very close to stage weight. So, you know, that way I don't have really much to lose, but also at a place to where I'm able to, you know, put on some muscle and, you know, vice versa. So.
And what weight class did you compete in?
Okay, so last year when I competed, I did I did all 3 divisions in one show, which people think would be kind of crazy. So for the men, they have 3 divisions. They have men's bodybuilding, which has always been there. So, you know, that with the Speedos. Then they have men's classic, which is like a thicker trunk. And then they have men's physique, which is me in the board shorts there, which is kind of like a male fitness model.
So the physique is the yellow one, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And then the Speedo is...
Men's bodybuilding.
Okay.
And then I should have a picture of like classic or like whatever.
We have your Instagram if you want to pull it up.
Okay, yeah. You know,
Yeah,
Instagram
pull
or
up his
Facebook.
Instagram. Yeah, but while he's pulling that up, yeah. Okay, so you got into that. And how do you do 8 that quick, though? Isn't that a lot of up and down, up and down, up and down?
Well, I mean, you know, I was already there and I was already lean, so I figured, you know, I might as well do it. And I wanted to see if I could progress. The 8th show of the year I probably shouldn't have done. Okay, so I'll scroll down a little bit more.
Man, look, your back is ridiculous.
Okay, so you know, right there with the spear in the middle.
Oh, right here.
Yep.
Click on it.
Okay, so this is a show I won. So those are like the classic shorts. So you saw how the bodybuilding trunks have you know, or like more of like a,
Like the really
you
up
know,
against your balls.
Yep.
These are a little
You know,
bit
classic,
lower. Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
So, you know, that's the other division. So the differences is, you know, with men's bodybuilding, you know, what they found is that guys were just getting, you know, too big with their distended bellies. And it's
So
just
what's this called, Dave? I'm sorry, because I have these people, and they don't answer me correctly. So there's NPC, there's this, there's that. What is the levels of, like, competition? Like, you start at what?
okay. So you know, you start with the NBC, and anyone and everyone can do that, and they have
NPC?
different categories. So
You
they
start
have
with NPC.
correct, and so you
Okay.
know they have the masters, which is like age categories. So they have over 35, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, even some people. Novice, which is like never won before. True novice, which is first time ever on stage, and then they have the open, which is, you know, pretty much anyone and everyone. So that's really the first place that people start. When you know, win your class or you win what's called the overall, you know, then you can go to what's called a pro qualifying show. So just to give you an example, okay, so there's different classes. Okay, so like let's say, like, for instance, this is classic physique and it's based on height. And
Okay, so this is classic, right?
Correct.
And now what's the Speedo one?
Okay, so you know, just to back up just a bit. So the men's bodybuilding, that's been around forever, and all it is weight class. So they have bantamweight, light, middle, welter, light, heavy, all the way up to super heavyweight.
Sounds like boxing.
Okay, and so, you know, I compete as a light heavy, which is anywhere between 176 and 198 on stage.
So what's this here?
So, you know, so this is men's bodybuilding with the Speedo, and I was a light heavy for this show.
What's that called though? It's not. That's not NPC, right?
This is NPC. This is
Really?
NPC
Oh, okay.
organization. Yeah, because I
Okay.
mean, that's just the organization, that houses.
Okay, that's the main thing.
Correct. And so
Okay.
within every organization, they have different divisions. And of course, the women have more. So the men's bodybuilding, that is just based on weight. So for example, my class was 176 to 198. Okay, but I'm 6'1". You can be 5'2" and be 198. Okay, and so that's why they invented the classic, which is the more aesthetic bodybuilder. So the classic physique, that's kind of like the briefs. It's based on height and weight. So based on how tall you are, you have to make a certain weight in order to compete. So like now they're going back to the streamlined look. And of course with men's physique, there's no weight class, but they do look for the more like aesthetic, almost like fitness model.
Now, do you think that's politically behind that they're going back to that, or is just the way that they've decided to go?
Well, honestly, like I'm really glad to see that they're moving in that direction because what was happening is with the NPC, all of these guys are doing so much drugs that they were, literally it wasn't bodybuilding anymore. It's just who's bigger. And, even yourself, you saw that with Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler. A lot of times I felt like they were just the biggest on stage. And so I like the classic physique because it's kind of a new change to where it's, kind of like not who's bigger, but who's best on stage, because that's what bodybuilding should be.
So now where's this here?
So I competed in South Carolina, and that was my first national show, and I did men's physique and I did classic. So, again, that's like, that's what the board shorts.
Man, you're vascular as hell.
I grew a mustache just because I got bored.
Yeah, I was wondering about the mustache. No, I couldn't, because I looked at your website and I couldn't picture you with the mustache.
Girls either loved it or they hated it,
So what were the odds? What were the odds?
Well,
So if you're going to get a girl, right? Okay, well, what odds would you give me with the mustache?
Well, first of all, when I told some of my girlfriends that I was getting a mustache, they're like, "No, don't do it." They're like, "It's so creepy." And then they saw it and they're like, "Actually, you could pull it off like pretty well, like with the mustache, But
I don't know about that. I think they were just trying to maybe get it in your pants. What did you shave it in the middle?
no, I mean, you can't really see it. I mean, it was definitely like thicker. But then, after the show, I was disappointed and I just shaved it off. I was like done with it.
I mean, your body looks great, but you do look older. That just gave you 10 years.
Which is fine because I mean it was COVID anyway, like nothing was open, so it's like I can't really do anything.
All right. So if I bring a beautiful girl in front of you, right? Okay, I can tell your talk, right? So you got the mustache. What odds would you give me that you can get her with the mustache?
I had a whole string of jokes that I used to use for
make
the
'em laugh.
mustache. Yep. So my first one is I would come
He's
up
pretty
and I'd
good.
be like, "So I must ask you a question," and that usually got them laughing a little bit.
So
And
what
then-
odds would you give me?
Well, my odds are always pretty good. It doesn't matter, what's on my face. I mean, it's about the confidence.
Yeah,
So,
I get it.
yeah.
Okay, what odds would you give me without the mustache? I wouldn't bet against that one. I bet against this one maybe if I had the right odds, but not.
I think the odds are pretty good either way you look at it.
Really?
Yeah.
With the mustache? I don't know. I might bet you on that one, depending on what odds you get me.
Well, honestly, too, it kind of depends on where I'm at, too. Because
Actually, I take it back because a lot of girls now have been fucked by young guys. So now they want like the older looking guy. They think that works a 9 to 5, and they think that's going to be all happy and blah 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 blah. But
I feel like nowadays just dating is a lot easier for me because, I feel like women, they want someone who's a little bit older and more established, versus someone who's younger who can't even take them out to dinner, And so I really feel, that way that it's kind of changed. So, even though it's never been, really hard for me, I feel like it's been a lot easier,
yeah,
especially because the dating pool in South Florida sucks, as
Yeah,
far as
yeah.
men are concerned. So.
you know what drives me nuts? I don't know if it does, and you don't have to reply to this. When a guy stays home and is cooking a crock pot for his girl to get home, for me, I put a bullet to my head before that ever happened. Like, in other words, he's like the mom of the house, or he's like, the guy like the wife at home, but he's like the guy. Could you do that?
Well,
Dave, you couldn't do it.
well,
I already knew it from talking to you, but just don't say it.
well, I mean, I'm like very old school, and the way that I was just raised is, the man takes care of the woman, So, for me, if my chick wants to work, and I mean, I've even, dated girls who made more money than me. Cool. Guess what? I'm still paying for dinner, and, that's how, but that's the way I've always operated. So,
Yeah, see, me and I can deal with it.
no way.
Unless she's got like a really good job or something. Really, I don't know. Just the way I was raised, the way you were, you let it out. You fucked up.
I feel like first it's like you making chicken in a crock pot, and the next thing you know, she pulls a strap on, tells you to bend over when she comes home.
Well, depending on what chick it is, right? Maybe she could talk you into letting her work. I mean, they're pretty good, some of them down here.
Slapping you around like, how come my dinner's not ready?
Yeah. I mean, maybe if she lets you tie her up or something, maybe then, okay, you can go to work, honey. Can I tie you up tomorrow night? Don't repeat that. Don't even reply, because you got a good job. Okay, so on top of all this, you're an accountant?
Yeah, so I went to school for accounting. My father is one of the top CPAs in the country, and so was my cousin. So growing up, I was working in accounting firms. Even in the 90s, I've been working in accounting firms. So I do a little bit with my father. I actually went up to Tallahassee for 8 months to actually take over his accounting firm, but I had to leave. I mean, I just can't move back there. And I mean, he has a lot of government contracts set up and everything. And with and with accounting, a lot of people think that it's based on numbers, which it is, but it's more about a business with people and really knowing people more than anything. But yeah, I enjoy it. I just like to learn new things, and there probably isn't a job that you can't, that you could list that I haven't done. And so, for me, it's just about, gaining knowledge on certain things and just, knowing things. I just love, learning new things. And I have a game I played, with my friends. I'm like, okay, so guess a job, and to see if I've
what
actually
you're
done
doing
it.
now?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
well, I mean, to see if I've actually, done this job before in my life. And, really, there's not really anything that people can really say that I haven't really done before. So
I do marketing for an accountant, and he's huge, and he's really, really good. He wants to blow his head off every day. He's gonna hear this and probably not like that, but I mean, I can hear the stress by 4, because I have my own office over there, so I'm doing the marketing and everything. I'm doing his SEO and optimizing things, and by 4 o'clock, he's just screaming at the IRS. I mean, it's a tough job.
more money, more problems. That's what they say
Yeah.
it too, right?
But what made you go to the accountant? Just your family?
So at first I did marketing. And well, I mean, first I did marketing with a minor in music because I was a musician for a while.
What can you play?
Pretty much everything brass is what I was playing at a professional level.
You can play like a trumpet.
Yeah, so
Get the hell out of
yes,
here.
tuba, trumpet, trombone, like pretty much all the brass
You
instruments.
should have brought that in here. That would have been fun.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I played in a band in college. The trombone in a band in college, and one of my friends played the trumpet, and now he's on tour with Al Green. Making $100,000 a year just playing his trumpet. Yeah.
You know how to play the piano?
Nope. I never learned how to really do that. Way
So-
too many keys.
Right, it's a lot of keys, but that's a panty dropper.
Yeah.
Don't reply to that one.
So I was in this MBA program, and it kind of started to fall short. And so I wound up transferring and then going with accounting, a concentration in accounting. And the reason why I did that is because the unemployment rate with accountants is the lowest in the country. It's less than 1%. So you have an accounting degree, you'll always be able to find a job. So that's why I chose that avenue.
So you are a CPA.
I'm not a CPA. And, the difference is with a CPA, being a certified public accountant in Florida is extremely difficult. Less than 1% pass the test the first time.
Really? No, I don't know.
Yeah. It's extremely difficult. And what's difficult about it is it's a multiple choice. So you have 5 answers, but all 5 answers are right. You had to choose the most correct one. So it's very difficult. So you can choose the right answer, but this one is actually more right, and then wind up failing.
And or what they think is right. Maybe not what is actually applied in a situation, but what they think is right. So you have a multiple choice answer that you would apply in real life, but they have some guy in an office that's sitting there doing nothing, and he says, well, this is the right answer to click on. But he's not dealing with people every day. Would you agree with that?
Well, I mean, yes and no, because I mean, there's always, going to be a better way or more efficient way to do things. My cousin, he's more like an uncle. I mean, he passed it the first time, which is unheard of. My father passed it the second time, and he's one of the smartest people that I know. I mean,
but it still took him twice, though.
Yeah, twice,
Yeah.
And I mean, he's extremely intelligent.
And I'm sure that first time when he failed, he was pissed as hell.
Yeah, and I mean, he made straight A's all the way throughout high school and college.
Yeah.
So
good for him. Good for him. Shout out to him. What's your father's name?
His name is Bill Bogan, and
shout out to Bill.
Yep. So yeah, and he's someone I've always kind of I looked up to. I mean, he was the first person in his family to graduate from high school. I had 8 brothers and sisters. High school.
8?
Yeah, high school. And so he basically made something out of himself.
Hold on, you had 10 kids in your family?
No, my brother. No, my.
Your dad
had 8 brothers
in his
and sisters.
family. He had 10 kids.
Yeah, it was like 8 brothers and sisters, and he was the youngest one.
Holy hell!
And he really made something out of himself. Coming from pretty much nothing, and having the drive to do that. To get out of the situation that he's in, which is very, very tough. Not a lot of people are able to really do that. And that type of a situation where your parents don't really care if you go to school or not. And having the urge to study and be successful and make straight A's in high school. That takes a lot. So
as an accountant, like, what are you? Can I go to you with my taxes, or like, because I know what a CPA is, but I don't know.
So my father's firm does a little bit of that, but it's mostly auditing, and like there's where
gotcha.
The most capital is. So for example, when one of my companies that my father works with is the Florida Lottery. So he audits the Florida Lottery. So there are all these government, agencies that you basically go in, and he's like, Dave, listen, I basically, I go in and I just, watch the ball spin around and they pay me for it,
I like to ask him why it's all Bangladesh people running the lottery.
Well, to be honest with you, he actually was ready to let go of that account because he, doesn't like a lot of the people he works with.
I'm not quite sure I know what to say about that one, but I would have to agree with him.
He actually wanted me to actually go in there and run it for him.
Yeah.
But I just could, I just can't live
it
in
wasn't
Tallahassee
your
anymore.
thing.
I can't live in Tallahassee anymore. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So then we read that you work for NBC Universal. So now how the hell do you go from looking like this, bodybuilder, accountant, and now, I mean, this is what's amazing. We're not even done with you yet. How the hell do you get into that?
So, it's like I said, I mean, I've, had many different occupations over the years. If you name something, I've probably done it to some capacity. Okay. So, I moved down here in 2011 to South Florida. I was dating a woman at long distance, and I wanted to change in careers. One of my best friends at the time was working in TV production, and I basically saw him literally going from living in a 1-bedroom apartment that literally was so small, you could step in the kitchen, in the bathroom, and the bedroom, and the living room all in one step. It was
shack.
It was
Pretty
just
much shack.
just super, super tiny. And then I came down and visited him a year later, and he had a 6-bedroom house, 2 brand new Beamers in the garage. This is only a year later. And so he's like, hey, you should work with me. And I'm like, I'm sold, and so that's how I got started in 2011 at doing that. But I just kind of worked on some projects at first. And then within a year, I was vice president of production when I was running.
But
You
how,
know,
how
auto
did you get to vice president of production? I mean, that's not just something you walk into.
So,
You know?
I became like really close with the owners, and it was actually through fantasy football.
Oh, I see.
You know?
You found the angle.
Yeah, and so I won the league in the office.
Machiavelli, my man.
Yes, 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 absolutely. So I won the league in the office, and I really got to know like the higher ups on a different level. And when they saw me doing such a stellar job and how organized I was, they offered me a promotion. Which is great.
So now, what exactly do you do for NBC Universal? I mean, that's a big name right there, boy.
So I haven't really done much this year, but the gentleman that I work with, he started TV production in the 1980s, so he was basically making like a couple mil a month in the 1980s. He basically
Couple million a month in the
yes,
80s?
yeah,
Who was that?
his name is Mark Keeler.
You ever hear him?
But he pretty much put it on the map, and a great guy. So I worked for some guys that worked for him at first. He saw the job I was doing and asked if I want to work with his company. And it's basically just like educational programming, and it's around 147 countries, and so that's where the Universal comes in. Because there's NBC, which is basically over here, and then there's Universal, which is all across Europe and Asia and everything else. So you may see some of the programming, you may not. It's all educational and things of that nature.
So what was your angle to get that high up, though, that quick? I mean, other than, fantasy football. I mean, or maybe that was your angle. You know what I mean? How did you get that high that quick?
I did a great job producing shows, and what we produced was called interstitial programs over public television.
And what's that? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what is that, though?
Yeah, so, let's say if you're watching a program like National Geographic.
Well, I watch that a lot, though.
Okay, and let's say that runs from, 4 o'clock to 4:55. Okay, then there's a little gap in between 4:55 and 5 between the next show.
It's all infomercials. Yeah.
Well, I mean, no, it's normally a color spectrum.
Really?
So I don't know if you ever watched public television and you see like the color spectrum.
Yeah,
in between shows.
Yeah.
Okay, so this studio was implemented in the 1980s to fill the gaps in between that, but it's mandated that it can only be educational programming. Now, sometimes you will see commercials, and that's what the public television stations themselves run. It may be the owner of that,
like an
station.
Xfinity or a Verizon or an AT&T. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. So it may be some kind of a commercial, but for the most part, only educational programming can reside, within that gap. So, what we do is, we take a survey of what most people are interested in, because with public television, the top 4% of education levels of individuals watch public television because it is more educational. So it's anywhere between 60 and 200 million households. And there's public TV, and then there's PBS, because a lot of times people attribute PBS and public television as the same thing. So there's around 380 public television stations, but only 265 of those are PBS affiliates, which are some of the larger stations. So we did all of public television. So we produced those interstitials in between with educational programming to fill in the gaps from program to program. So a lot of times the individuals that are on that program don't need marketing. It's more of just kind of like, a pat on their shoulder to say, hey, listen, well, I'm educating
PBS
viewers.
is in cahoots with all like NBC and everything else?
No, it's completely separate. So, with public TV, they don't have what's called Nielsen ratings. So on NBC and cable television, they have what's called Nielsen ratings, which you're actually able to track the viewership. On public television, they don't have that as far as tracking, the amount of viewers. We estimated somewhere between 60 and 200 million households, but it's not like, cable television where you pay for a spot. You can't pay for a spot to be on public television. You have to be invited on public television, in order to educate the viewers. So it's kind of different.
So it's public television. Like if I have basic cable, I get that?
Correct.
Okay, so that's public television, right?
Correct.
So now if I want all this other stuff, now I'm paying.
Correct.
But they're in cahoots with them, or you're saying no?
Yeah, so these are kind of two separate entities. So the first one that I did with public television and the interstitial programming is completely separate because it's more educational, and again, it's interstitials without Nielsen ratings. So it's completely different, and it's not like advertising. You can literally, want to pay all the money you want to advertise, and they won't allow it. It has to be educational programming.
Really?
Has some kind of educational value to it.
Do you know what he's talking about, Rob?
Yeah, did you ever watch Sesame Street as a kid?
Yeah.
PBS. And then he's saying that they put a little
Yeah.
Yeah,
thing to fill
just a
the
little
gap in
snippet.
there.
Yep.
and Could
Yeah.
be about brushing your teeth or something, right? Or teaching a kid. how to
Yeah,
brush
yeah,
their
yeah,
teeth right or
yeah.
something.
It's got to be educational at that time period, right? Wow, that's interesting.
So, for instance, I did some stories on medical advancements. So, I did one on optometry, and so I found this company called Chromogen, and what they actually do is they actually help kids with dyslexia, because with that dyslexia, all it does, is it's not that the kid is not as smart as other kids. It just filters the light differently to where you're not able to really read it as well. So with these special
They're reading
classes,
it backwards, right?
well, it's not necessarily reading it backwards. Sometimes it's jumbled or all over the page. So with these lenses, it filters the light and helps the kids to read more. So what I did is I did a series on dyslexia. I had them come in as an expert, speak on it, and then tell the audience what they're doing to improve lives. So it's more like educational, So pretty cool, and probably one of the hardest jobs I've ever had as far as just
What, because of the time that you had to put into it, or
yeah, just like the mentality and learning all about it. It just takes a lot. It just takes a lot to learn it.
do you think that's harder than bodybuilding?
Uh,
I know it's two different type of things. You know what I mean? But
and I mean, honestly, a bodybuilding is all mental. A lot of people think that it's physical, which yes, it is in the gym, but it's mostly mental, because it's about discipline. It's about pushing yourself in the gym. It's about, you being able to say no to yourself, like, okay, well, listen, I really want that piece of chocolate cake, and I know it's not going to fit, or I know I can't have it, so it's all mental, and they're both, very, very mental. Except with the TV production, it's definitely all mental, like non-physical, and very, very draining. So I would say mental is definitely more physical than, is like more taxing than physical, in my opinion.
right. So now you get into the training, right, with your website, and then how did you make the decision? Because you're already working at NBC, you're already bodybuilder. It's not like you need it anymore. Now, what led you into training people, teaching them how to pose, which I think from the ones I've been to, they really need you to teach them how to pose because I've been to them. Back in the day, I was probably 10 of them. And I think that the guy that should have won, and that when I read that, I was like, I have to ask him about this because I think the guy that would have won,
He looked better, but he didn't show it off right.
he didn't show it off right, right?
Happens all the time.
Yeah. So I saw that just because I've been in that industry, or around it, But what led you to get down this point? Because now you're an accountant. Well, first you're a bodybuilder, natural, which is unbelievable. People don't believe it, and they're not going to believe you because you look the way you do. Nobody, you can sell that to ice. It's like selling ice to an Eskimo. You know what I mean? But I believe
I've
just
just
sitting here and
learned,
trust me.
and I mean, I've just learned, just not really care what people think at all. This is me. This is it. Whether you care or not, I really don't give a shit.
I love it.
You know what I mean?
I love it. But now, what led you to this?
Okay, so at the time I was, working full time in TV production, and I had a few clients just on the side. I've been training people off and on since like 2003, so years. But how I got involved into this is I was working with a few clients. I was teaching them the flexible dieting method, and just by word of mouth, next thing you know, I have a business. It's crazy. And I've done virtually no type of marketing whatsoever, nothing. And people just hear about it. And I mean, it's very simple. It's just like, if you guys go out to dinner and, let's say he, lost 20 pounds. The first thing you're going to say is, dude, how did you lose 20 pounds when I literally go out to dinner with you every night and have drinks? Like, this is crazy. Like, are you taking some kind of pill? Like, what's going on? He's like, yeah, well, I hired this guy and he's, teaching me how to eat and eat whatever I want and lose weight. Well, dude, sign me up. Like, let's go. And next thing you know, I had a business out of it.
So you have referrals left and right.
Yeah. And throughout the time, that's all I've been focused on is just helping people. I love to help people. So, you help one person and change their lives. Guess what? People are going to notice, and that, that's all I've done. And the next thing have this business.
Now, out of all you've done, is the biggest thing for you, because you've been on stage, let's just pretend that I've been on stage. I've been on different stages, not the one you want to be on,
We probably, been on the same stage.
Same
before.
type of stage, right? Yeah.
No, well, that's what I mean. We've both probably been on the same type of stage before, too.
Right, and then you got all the power and everything, right? But just from getting to know you and sitting across from you, I would have to say that the way you present yourself, the way you act, just the way you are, I would say that beyond all the trophies you won, the money that you made doing God knows what, okay, the best thing has to be, and maybe what changed you into the man that you are today, is when somebody comes to you and you can help them. Because money can't buy that. So we can have all the money in the world, but you can't buy that kind of thing.
Well, and I mean, here's the thing. I mean, we all want to be successful and make money, but at the end of the day, guess what? We're going to be dead and gone. Okay. And it's how are you remembered? Okay. What legacy did you leave? Okay. How did you leave your footprint on the earth? How many people did you help? That's all that matters.
Dave, you know how many people I say this to that know me and they know me for years? I say, all you have is memories, buddy. You don't know, you can believe in whatever you want to believe in. I respect it all. But you really don't know. But the one thing that you do have that nobody can take from you, you can die, the feds can come, the cops can come, you can be crippled. But the one thing that nobody can take from you is memories. Memories are the most important thing in the world to me. I think you would agree with that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, it's one thing to make a buck, but it's another thing to, give back and help people,
Well, it took me 38 years to realize that, but yeah, because you won't be happy because, you can have the money and you're on stage, you're winning shit, you go to 70 shows. But I'm going to ask you, were you fully happy at that point?
Yeah. So, I felt like I really, really was. And, at that point, with the picture that you had, before, I really felt like I was. Again, it's about, myself and the way that I feel. So even though I am happy, I'm never truly satisfied. I'm always hungry for more.
Well, here's the thing, Dave. There's differences, right? So there's content, right? Which I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, you may have been content, but happiness is a different thing.
Absolutely.
In other words, yeah, you're winning this shit. You're going to 70 shows. You look great. You're not doing steroids. You're doing A, B, C, D, E. You're with whoever you're with. 8 and above is the rule, okay? And yeah, that's fine and all good. You're content. But I think, just from sitting across from you, this is what made you happy, is seeing that you could take somebody and turn them into a better person. I think that's what made you happy. That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I'm always happy, regardless of what's going on in my life.
I'm saying inside.
But
that's what everybody says. I'm saying internally, Dave.
But I mean, yeah, you're exactly right, because guess what? I was that skinny kid that everyone picked on. And so I know how it feels to finally have confidence. So, to give someone that, I mean, there's no price tag on that.
So
You know?
have you had a skinny kid that came to you that was picked on that you took care of?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. Now, what was better? Fixing him up and getting him right, or standing on stage and get some trophy or some money or whatever? When his family comes and thanks you, when he thanks you, what was better?
I wouldn't say one is better than the other. I mean, they're all amazing experiences, because, you know, um, putting in that hard work and people acknowledging it is a wonderful thing, but also helping someone do the same thing is also a wonderful thing. And I wouldn't put a price tag on really any of it. And speaking of price tag, I have a motto that I always go by because it's just like you said, with money and happiness and everything else. So a motto I always, go by with myself is, listen, I believe that money is not the key to happiness, but it is a heck of a down payment. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the motto I always use.
Money is it. You can't live life without money. Okay, losers live life without money. You have to make money. You have to work hard. You have to provide. If you don't, you're just a bum.
Six figures, nowadays just isn't enough to even
It's
like
not
live.
enough.
Really
It's not enough. You can't. Personally, I can't live with myself with that. People think that's cool. Great, good for you. Not good for me, right? So yes, money is very important. Which I won't let that go down under that, and I don't think you would either. Now we have to have that as a basis, right? But I still think maybe it's going to take you another year or two, but I think you'll come back in. And what you just said, you fix enough people, a couple people, and they come to you and say, Dave, you changed my whole fucking life. That will mean more to you than any of this bullshit that you did. Not that it's bullshit. I'm just saying. Because I've been through more than you could ever fucking imagine. And I'm telling you, what you're doing here, you get enough people coming in, and they come to you and they say, Dave, my whole life's different. That is going to change you.
I've had that happen a lot. And it's just like, as you said, I mean, there's nothing more rewarding. There was this mother-daughter that I was working.
But you say that, though. But when I asked you what was more important, you couldn't answer quick enough that was more happiness than the money.
Well, and like the thing is too is, if I wouldn't have, been on stage with the trophies, I wouldn't have this other aspect either. So, that could be important, but the other one is important too. And I wouldn't really trade one for the other, even though I will tell you that I believe that changing lives is more important because for me, I'm not always going to be on stage. Like the next time I'm going to compete is probably going to be 2 years from now. But I can always change someone's life and make their life better. And, just to tell you a story, I mean, there's, a mother-daughter I was working with and, her daughter had an eating disorder. She went to the therapist at the therapist. No one could help her with her eating disorder. It was bad. So I put her on my program. I showed her basically how to eat because she was scared to eat. Because she's like, every time I eat, I gain weight, so I'm not going to, And so, she only worked with me for maybe like a few months or so. Okay, now I literally saw her a year later. I was at Polo. She came up to me and she was like, hey, Dave, I just want to really thank you. She goes, a year later, she goes, now I'm not afraid of food anymore. Now I know, what I can eat and what I can't eat, and I'm happy with myself. So I've been able to help, so many individuals that, therapy couldn't fix.
Okay, that situation right there, right? Okay, she came up to you a year later. She was probably going to die because YouTube gave the algorithms or whatever, made her anorexic. God knows what. Family upbringing, whatever. That girl came up to you and said, Dave, you basically saved my life. Now think about that, right? Okay, yeah, you had to do this to get to where you're at now. I get that part. But what's more satisfying, that girl coming up to you or winning on stage? I know deep down just from sitting across from you, that got you.
And I mean, also too, it's about helping people and helping them to help others. I have a guy that came to me. He was in recovery, 330 pounds, and he always had a dream of competing. He's like, listen, man, I've never had a six-pack before, but it's something I've always wanted. I'm like, listen, well, if you had the discipline, we can do it. And I mean, I taught him in how to fit in his favorite foods. He loved cookies. So I was like, okay, well, we can have those every single day, but this is how we fit it in. So he wound up competing at around 150 pounds shredded.
I'm
Yeah.
about to hire you.
What about tacos?
How about tacos?
Yeah, tacos?
Tacos every single day if
Pizza?
you want them.
Pizza?
Pizza every single day if you
Well,
want them.
yeah, I like this guy.
I actually have a friend, right? And you can look him up on Instagram. His Instagram is Pizza Industry Spokesperson.
See if you can pull that out.
Pizza Industry Spokesperson is his IG, right? And this guy, he's like your middle-aged like Jewish guy, and he owns a pizzeria in St. Pete called Tour de Pizza.
Yeah, I got business. I've been down there a bunch.
He eats pizza for 95% of his diet, and he's won first place in some shows.
Really?
Is this, they pulled up the
Yep.
right one?
Yep. You know, that's him. That's Matt. But you can scroll down and like see some, competition pictures from a couple years ago. But the guy literally eats pizza every single
I can see he
day.
likes pizza.
Oh, man.
No, every single day. And so I asked him. I said, "Hey, man, so why do you?" Oh wait, and there's some donuts too.
Oh, go back up there, Rob. Right there. Ah, he looks pretty jacked there.
You good? Yeah.
He's eating pizza every day, looking like that.
Man,
Yep,
train
95%
him?
of his diet. No, he's just a friend, but my friend trained him, or my friend did flexible dining with them. So literally.
Fuck your friend. I'm hiring you.
Yep.
Yeah, shit. I mean, pizza every day? That's
Yeah, and so I asked him. I said, "So why is it only 95%? How come it's not 100% of the time?" And he said, "Well, because if I ate pizza when I went on dates with my wife, she would kill me." So that's what he said. It was 95% of the time. But I mean, yeah. If you keep scrolling, you could probably see
Yeah,
some
go back
competition
down,
pictures.
right there. Go back up, Rob.
I keep scrolling actually.
Yeah,
I keep
Yeah,
scrolling.
listen to him, not me.
got a lot of pizzas. I like this.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, like you see on that line, he literally eats pizza. But it's called Tour de Pizza. It's awesome pizza too, and it's like, and he put a kind of a healthy spin
Where's
on
he
it.
out of?
St. Pete.
Oh, I got family on that side.
Yeah, man, but
I've been doing this 20 years, and you just blew my mind. 20 years I've been dealing with this kind of stuff.
well, I mean, here's the thing though
I've
too.
never heard how that could possibly work.
Okay, well,
I'm going to hire
Is
you.
this him here? Here you
J-
go. Here's a picture with his shirt off, it looks like, with a...
yeah,
Yeah, I mean...
And this guy's
Pizza.
eating pizza every day?
95% of his diet is pizza.
Jesus.
Is he Italian?
Yeah, yep, I believe so. Matt McClellan, like actually maybe Irish.
Well, he's
Maybe Irish.
white.
Yeah, yeah.
Sure.
I mean, just like basic white guy.
No, I mean, I'm not being
So it's
like,
not his like genetics,
not being like an asshole. But
I mean, if you looked at me and
if
be
it-
like, I eat pizza every day, you'd be like, okay, it's either because you're black, you have good genetics.
right, we're cool with each other. Thank you said it, not me.
He like
If he
aged
was
his face on
black,
that.
I'd say
Kinda
okay,
weird.
yeah. Because you know what? I had this friend. Well, he's picking him out. I had this friend, Jared Hayes. He'd eat McDonald's every day. This guy was the most ripped guy ever. He was 5'8" and could dunk with one hand. This guy could dunk like you won't even believe.
I hate people that have genetics like that because I don't have them. Oh yeah, okay. So here's a picture
There
when
you
he
go.
competed
There you go.
and I won first place.
Pizza.
Get the fuck out of
Pizza.
here. He's eating pizza.
Yep. Yeah, and he's a
Fuck
natural
me.
athlete, so it's not even like he was taking
Whoa,
steroids.
you're telling me right now he's eating pizza every day.
95% of his diet.
Fuck.
Well,
Pizza.
you're going to get a lot of hires after this. I'm
Tacos.
telling you right now. Are you serious?
Yep.
Dave?
Yep.
Wow.
My kids will love that one. I can eat pizza, Dad, every day. Just gotta... tell me again, though. You were just explaining... How does this work? I don't understand. Eating just pizza, how can I get that?
Okay, so it's like I said, it's about hitting your set macros, your set protein, your set carbs and fats. So as long as you hit your protein, your carb, and your fat that your body requires for that day, and fiber, you can eat whatever you want every single day.
Can you...
Okay, Dave. Now I'm sold on this shit because I'm looking at this. This guy's eating pizza. Real? I mean,
Yeah.
I'm my
On my
mind
last
is
competition,
blown.
I ate donuts, Chipotle, and Chick-fil-A every single day.
What's he on? He's got to be on something.
No, nothing. That's
He's got a chest like that. He's a white guy.
No, man, that's a natural competition that he did. Drug tested. He got.
What do you have him
piss
doing
tested.
for chest?
Well, I mean, as like I said, like my, like my close friend, was a client of his. So
But you could probably do better. But let's just say you're doing it. What would you tell me to do to get a chest like that?
push-ups,
Push-ups, really?
100 to 200 every day.
Every day, huh?
Within 3 months, your chest will look completely different.
pull up his website.
And then I
Now
stopped doing
he's
so
got me
much.
intrigued on this bullshit.
Yeah, and then then you're doing way too much cardio to sustain that. So
Look at his back there. Holy God.
I know. I mean, I could see with all due respect, an African American with a back. I've known them. They eat like shit. They don't work out. And I have a lot of friends that are African American that are cool as hell, and they just got they can dance, they can jump, they can sing, they can do all this crazy shit and eat whatever they want.
okay, well, dancing, was never like my strong point.
Well,
Even though I did, make some money doing that years ago, but we won't get into that.
yeah. Holy fuck. Really? Okay, so now I go to hire you, right? I go to your website, toptierphysiques.com. Okay, we're going to put all this in this. I mean, this is really important. Wow. Mm-hmm. So now I go to hire you. Do you have like a scale of the cost, or do you not want to talk about that because it's based on the individual?
Yeah, so I mean, it just all depends on like the amount of time and what you're trying to do. Because I mean, granted, if you're trying to do a contest prep versus lose 10 pounds, it's a little bit more workout entailed. But I pretty much keep the cost standard, and I have clients that are single mothers and college students all the way up to multimillionaires.
So you do women and men.
Correct. And like I don't charge someone more just because they make more. I know a lot of trainers do that, and that will come back to bite you.
Yeah.
Because I mean I've heard it happening before, like trainers charging 3 times the amount for
it
someone.
Does happen.
For the same exact thing.
Yeah.
So I just want to be fair and just charge for my time, and that's it. But what I love about the program, and if you look at the website, it's the difference between.
Yeah, just tell them to click. We're gonna have this all.
So
where you can better view it.
Yeah. So if you see like the mission statement, okay, I teach men and women to fish, and they'll eat for a lifetime.
So where's the mission statement at?
Right there, like right there at the top. Okay, so if you teach a man or woman to fish, they'll eat for a lifetime.
Okay, read that, Dave.
Okay, so my mission is to not only get you the results you want, but to instill the knowledge for you to maintain those results during the course of your life. And as the expression goes, you teach a man or woman to fish, they will eat for a lifetime. So basically, instead of me giving someone fish, a cookie cutter meal plan, okay, I teach you how to eat, incorporate your favorite foods. So that way, after you you get the results you want, now you can sustain them without having someone. And that's how a lot of trainers make their money is, they have you come train with them. They don't really, tell you anything about why we're training this way or why we're training that way. Here's your meal plan. Then at the end of the day, you learn nothing. And, me as a master trainer, I mean, I would charge $100 an hour for my services. So you're paying $500 a week just to train, and you learn nothing. And at the end of the day, you just revert back to nothing. So with this, my clients are able to get the results that they've always wanted, and then know how to maintain it for the rest of their life. And then also, not only that, but now they're able to educate other people and help other people.
And pass it on.
Exactly, because, like that's what it's all about, is helping people and then them helping more people.
So if I go to hire you, I'm not doing any no competition. Just fix my diet, give me 5 pounds, but I don't want to get puffy. I don't want to get nothing.
I would say about 80% of my clients are just health and wellness. They're just people who just want to just eat better, maybe look a little bit better with their shirt off. And, then I have, my other 20% of my clients that are, doing competition prep. Everyone has different goals, but what I always say is, hey, listen, when we start the program, I want you to pick a goal. It may be, hey, guess what? I'm going on a vacation this summer. I want to look my best with my shirt off. We need some type of thing to shoot for. Otherwise, why are we doing this?
Do you deal with a lot of mothers that had kids?
Yes, absolutely. And
your phone's gonna be ringing off the hook on this one.
I have one mother that I worked with, and she was, and after the birth of her first son, she was around 206 pounds. She's 5'8", so she's a little taller. And then throughout the course of doing flexible dieting, we competed. She was 120 pounds on stage, shredded. She won the whole entire show. And she did it with, just going to the gym 3 or 4 days a week. She had her wine every single night. She had chocolate every day, pancakes every day. Those are things that she just enjoyed eating like every single day.
Don't tell him this. Don't tell him this.
Pancakes, chocolate, wine, pizza, tacos, and
Now he's gonna have to hire you.
I can't believe this.
Okay, now, granted,
I'm
everybody.
gonna hire him. I'm gonna see what he can do.
Okay, now, granted, everyone's different.
Yeah.
Everyone likes different things. So
But you know how to figure that out, though, right? That's why you're doing what you're doing.
Exactly, and I teach you how to fit that in because, guess what? If he likes tacos, you might not like tacos, which I wouldn't trust you if you didn't like tacos.
I don't like tacos. No.
So,
no. You know what my weakness is? 3 things. Believe it or not. French fries, which is odd. Pasta with marinara sauce.
yeah, well, you're Italian. So.
Yeah, I need the gravy. And cheesesteak. But not the cheesesteak from here, like a real cheesesteak.
Mm-hmm.
That's my weakness. Those 3 things.
So, what's your
But
number one?
I take modafinil all the time.
So, what's your number one cheesesteak place in Philly? And please don't say Geno's or Pat's.
I hate Geno's and Pat's. I've been there a million times. I hate it. I get it because I used to go with my friends and I throw it in the trash can because I like chopped up. In Philly, it's Jim's Steaks.
Yes.
Have you ever been up there?
Yeah, and I actually went on a quest for the best cheesesteak. I gained like 20 pounds in a week.
I bet you did. I bet you motherfucking did.
But there's a place, and it may be Jim's, but I don't know. But it's closer to South Street, and it's like you walk in, and it's like very nice. They have, pictures of all these celebrities, black and white and red.
Lorenzo's?
It's
I can't even remember the name of it.
probably
But
Jim, because Jim's is right there on South Street. You got
it may be Jim's that I went
It's
to.
on the right hand. Like if you're walking down South Street.
It's like it's like right on the corner, I believe.
Jim's.
Yeah, that's Jim's. That's Jim. You can smell the onions before you even get in there.
I don't remember the name, but all I remember is that's the best cheesesteak place I went to because it was a lot it wasn't a sloppy. It was very well put together. Like a sandwich,
in a couple years, I'll take you there.
All right, cool.
Philly's not the place for me right now, but
No, okay.
when it is, I'll take you there. Oh, believe me, you'll get the best pizza you ever had in your life. Lorenzo's is the best pizza ever on South Street. There's nowhere better. And Jim's is probably the best cheesesteak. But down here, Jersey Mike's is the only one that I could find close to it. But when I would go in around here, right, I said, look, I want a cheesesteak. They give me some fucking, pizza steak. It'd be like you know what I'm talking about? Rob, what would they give you? What's it called? Pizza steak?
Pizza steaks, yeah. But see, I'm a cheese whiz guy. Some people don't like the cheese whiz. I'm a cheese whiz.
I hate that
whiz
cheese
whiz.
whiz.
Whiz whiz. Whiz whiz.
I had a steak that had cheese whiz and sharp cheddar on it. It was pretty solid.
So I get a giant cheesesteak. Now you're messing me up, right? Because if you see my abs, I don't know how your abs are right now, but I might be able to compete with you on the abs, but everything else you'll kill me. But I have 2 cheat days a week, and I get a Jersey Mike's cheesesteak, giant, extra American cheese, extra meat, and I put my own marinara on it, not their marinara, my marinara, cooked in the pan, Parmesan on top. Oh my God. If I made you one of these, you wouldn't even know what to do.
You mean like the Big Kahuna, right? That's the name of it. Yeah, it's
yeah.
good. I've had it before too, yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you can't tell, I'm a serious foodie. I enjoy food. I love to eat. And that's why I love the flexible dieting. I get to have my favorite foods every day. I have a sweet tooth, and I enjoy my donuts every morning. It may be because, I don't know, I was law enforcement back in the day. Maybe it's because
Whoa, you were law enforcement?
Yeah, I did law enforcement for a bit.
I didn't read that about you. Tell me about that one.
So I worked at a place called Pat Thomas Law Enforcement Academy. It's located in North Florida. It's the largest law enforcement academy on the East Coast. The only one larger is FLETC, which is more federal. That's in Brunswick, Georgia. So all the state agencies are housed out of there between DOT, FDLE, FHP, and I wound up working there and getting my standards, which means that I can work for any police agency. But I didn't want to work for any police agency because I knew every freaking body. So I kind of worked, more in the training and administrative side. But I did that for, I don't know, about 5 or 6 years. Was looking to do like the federal thing, but it just kind of lost the itch.
Yeah, it's such a bitch to get to the federal, and then it's all a different ball game.
Yeah, and I mean, plus, like I was just mostly looking to like the retirement benefits because you start off at 75 grand a year, and then you're making that for the rest of your life. Your top 3 years, you're making that for the rest of your life.
Because they give you the full pension, right?
Yep, yep. The full pension for federal. Yep.
Yeah, that's enough reason to try, But then you get into it, and it's a headache.
Yeah, and I
I
mean,
agree
plus,
with
like getting shot at all the time and stuff like that. Which is what I would have been doing. I would have been literally, people trying to blow my head off every week.
Well, you're right, and I think that's the problem with society now you can't discipline your kid. That's one thing. Now it's all the shit about guns, and now on top of all that, you want to defund the police. They're not making shit to begin with.
Hey, well, listen. Well, let me ask you a question. It's like when we were in grade school. Did you hear about school shootings and all this fucking bullshit? No, you didn't hear about it. I mean, like, granted, it might have happened maybe once in the blue moon or something like
It was
that.
like once every decade, or
Yeah.
at most. At most, I don't think. I don't even think there was one when I was in school.
Yeah, and you know what? Some of the stuff blows my mind. Like, oh, well, I didn't know Timmy had a load of guns in the basement. Like, it's your house. How do you not know your kid is housing guns in your house?
Do you want the answer for that?
Like terrible parenting.
Because you give them an iPad, you give them an Xbox, you put them on social media. Like, you've already impressed me with your little. I'm going to hire you because I want to see what you can do. And I'm telling you, you're going to get every mom in the world calling you when this comes out. I'm telling you to fix them because they're all looking for somebody like you where they can eat what they want. I never believed in it. I don't believe in it yet, but when I see it, then I'll believe it.
Well, and I mean, listen, there's no magic pill. At the end of the day, it does take some discipline, but when it comes down to it, this is something that is more sustainable. Can you go out and eat a whole pie? I mean, I've had, some guys that were able to do that and fit it in. Most people can't go out and eat a whole large pie to themselves. But, if you want to have some pizza every single day, I'll teach you how to fit that in. And so that's what it's all about.
I would love to know how the hell to do that. I would love to know that. Now, what do you think about nootropics? We talked about it a little bit before we came on air. Like, are you familiar with them, or you're not quite up to date on them?
Are they a supplement company?
No, nootropic is like a they call it like hardwiring the brain. Okay, so like modafinil, Provigil.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, they compare it to the limitless drug, Bradley Cooper.
Okay. Yep.
I take it. I've been taking it for 20 years. I'll never stop taking it. No side effects. You can't get addicted. Blah 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 blah. But there's a lot of other ones. So I just didn't know if you had any.
Yeah. So yeah, and I mean, it's kind of like a focus factor. Supplement like.
It kind of falls in line with like the SARMs. SARMs.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So like SARMs are like for instance, like MK677, right? It's a SARM. Okay, they're all fighting to buy it right now, and then they're going to patent it and make it a gazillion dollars to get it. Actually, compound pharmacies are right now giving it out without really FDA regulation. It's pretty much HGH in a liquid form and or pill form, where you don't have to take the shot. So a nootropic is more of something that hacks the brain, but it's kind of similar to a SARM because a SARM is something. So like Provigil, it mimics Adderall. Okay, so if you're on Adderall or you have an alcohol problem or you have a cocaine problem, you can take modafinil and it will do or ADHD or whatever. And 90-some% of the time, I did all the research on NCBI, like 96, 97% of the time, it will give you the same result as Adderall without the addictiveness, okay? So the SARM to me is pretty similar to me without the long-term study. Now, modafinil, which I keep bringing up to you, that's been out since 56. So there's a lot of long-term research. These SARMs are new, but the MK677 is a mimic of HGH, but it is
Well-
though. And if it wasn't, then Pfizer, Bayer, and Lilly
Right.
wouldn't be fighting for it. Same with Ostarine.
and the thing is, it's it's more like an androgen like receptor. I guess it like alters your DNA, so it doesn't really have anything to do with your testosterone levels or anything like that. But the thing is there's a lot of gray area with supplements like that. And what normally happens is, they're on the market for like a while, and then the FDA or something like that, or like WADA pulls it. Almost very similar to, I don't know if you remember a supplement called M1T.
No.
So a Mark McGuire, when he hit all of his home runs, he attributed his strength to M1T, methyl 1 testosterone.
You're asking the wrong person about Mark McGuire.
Okay. So that's what he attributed it to. And they wound up banning it off the market. And with the M1T, it was a methyl 1 testosterone, and basically they said it has the same compound as a steroid minus 1 or 2 molecules or something like that. So that was on the market for a while, and they pulled it. So at the end of the day, I just think it's all about making money, and this corporation's getting rich, and that's what's all about. It's the same thing with ephedra. I don't know if you remember ephedra.
Oh yeah, Mohang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I love this stuff. I mean, it worked great. And it gave me energy.
Excedrin RFA1.
Yep. And it was one idiot that wanted to not drink water for 3 days and cycle in a sauna with for 2 hours with a trash bag, and he popped a bunch of pills and his heart exploded. He probably had heart issues to begin with, and they wound up taking it off the market.
Ephedrine was the best thing ever. And it came in 25 milligrams Mohang alkaloids, the real shit, not the shit that they're selling now.
Right.
And as you said, what happened was some guy took 60 milligrams, 80, because he said, okay, well, if I take 25 milligrams, this is what it does. Well, maybe if I take 50, 75, 100 milligrams of this shit, maybe this will work quicker. Then a couple people die, not by taking it as directed, because they thought, well, if 25 works, then 100's got to do a lot better, and then they banned it. That was the best supplement, I think, that's been out, and I've seen them all.
And like the thing is too, is that's how a lot of things work. Everything is good, and then one dumbass does something stupid, and then we all got to pay for it.
Yeah.
Just like what's going on with all this COVID stuff. It's like 1 or 2 dumb people had to do something, and next thing everything's locked down. And if people were just responsible, we wouldn't need it. I mean, the country of Sweden, they didn't have any lockdowns at all. People were just responsible, and they had a very, very low death rate. And I think if people just took more responsibility for themselves, and once such dumbasses all the time, it wouldn't be a need for half the stuff. So.
How much do you miss that ephedrine?
Well,
it was Excedrin RFA1, then it was the ECA stack.
Yeah,
with
the ECA
aspirin.
stack was good. Yeah.
That
With the with the ephedrine and caffeine.
Yeah, it was caffeine,
aspirin.
ephedrine, 25 milligrams, and the aspirin. But Excedrin RFA1 was a beast. And then hydroxycut was good, too, when they had the ephedrine in it. Now they do ephedrine HCl, blah, 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 but it's not even close.
They had the hydroxycut max that was okay.
Yeah.
But, I mean, yeah, nothing like the ephedra. And, I mean, I took maybe, probably every ephedra product on the market from Ripped Fuel. Do you remember,
Yeah,
Ripped
I do.
Fuel?
I do.
And like the brown, like little glass bottle and stuff.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
all
I
that
did.
stuff, yeah.
I did it. No, I had, yeah. I know. It was a shame when they took that off because of like 2 or 3 people, they took it off.
It's going to be a time to where, you can't even do like protein powder anymore.
I
They're
know.
going to ban everything.
I know. They're going, because right now, like whenever you go into the supplement store, nothing's FDA regulated. So like Walmart just got slammed. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Walmart got rocked because I think it was called Nature Valleys. It's the one that's like green and yellow.
Yep.
Okay. Well, they came in and the FDA tested all of them, and none of it had what was in it, what they said was in it. Find them a whammo. Now, if that was you or me, we'd be doing years.
That's a problem with these supplement companies is, there's no third party testing and there's nothing to really govern them. It's kind of like the wild, wild west. And, there was a website years ago and what they did is they tested all the products.
What was it called? What was it called, Dave?
It was called like,
I know what you're talking
it was
about. I
called like
just can't think of
scammers.com or
Dot
something.
.net. It was
yeah,
.net. Yeah, it was
something like that.
.net. Yeah.
Yeah, and so one of the big ones on there was SciFit. I remember like SciFit. It was like they say they have 25 grams of protein. It's only 7 grams of protein per serving. It's absolutely crazy.
You're right, and you could send a part of that. I think they wanted minimum 100 milligrams. You like weigh it and send it to them, and they would do it for $70.
Yeah, it was awesome. Yeah,
$70. You could send anything you got, and they would test it. They have it back to you in a week.
So wouldn't those companies get something for misbranding?
No. They just came to me with misbranding.
They didn't get misbranding though.
No, they never got in trouble. They just got blasted on the internet for being frauds.
No,
That's all you really need,
I know some of those guys. You know what they got? They got this thing that I was supposed to get, which I didn't ever need, but pretending I needed, right? What they did was they sent them a letter. It's called a cease and desist order. So they got 90 days to take it off the market.
That's what happened to Blackstone recently too.
Yeah. You know Blackstone?
Yeah.
You know who runs that?
A PJ Braun. Yeah.
Yeah, I know PJ. Yeah. Nice Ferrari, huh? Yeah. Interesting character, huh? Good guy.
So I first heard of
Right off
PJ
that
Braun.
quick.
So I first heard of PJ Braun back in the early 2000s because there was no social media, but there was a website called getbig.com. If you ever remember this website, and like that's how I first heard of PJ Braun because he was on there.
This guy's taking me back 20 years ago.
And man, like this is when he was a competitor, and he would be like, I'm gonna come in here and win this and beat this guy, and like, and I was like, who is this guy? So that's how I first heard of him. And then of course, him and Aaron Singerman, they did RX Muscle,
Right, yep.
with
Dave
Dave Palumbo and
I'll tell you his name off camera, but not now. But there's a guy behind all of that, But do you remember Phil Hernon?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Huge.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Huge. Yep.
Huge. He bought a bunch of companies.
He's out in L.A., right, or California? What is it?
Last time, I mean, we're going back 7 years ago. Yeah, he was in Cal. Yeah, because I was going to see Kobe. Yeah, he was in San Diego, and I was kind of asking him, like, why are you in San Diego? You know what I mean? But
so just to tell you, like, I'm the guy in the industry. Like, everyone knows my face, but no one really knows how they know me or like whatever. It's really really funny because I like to keep like low key and underneath the radar. And like that's how I've been raised. You stay quiet and humble, and you grind behind the scenes.
yeah,
And so like there's lots of people they'll see me and they'll be like, I know this guy. I don't know how I know him.
I got 2 more things to ask, and I'll let you get out of here.
Okay, cool.
All right, it's been a great time with you.
Absolutely.
So the first thing is what do you think of Portugal? And the reason why I ask that is because you're in like, the training industry, drugs and everything else. They decriminalized every drug, and their prison rate went down, their addiction rate went down. What do you think of that?
Well, what I think is what I said before. If people are responsible, there shouldn't be need for all of this. And it's kind of, I'll give you an example. It's kind of like what they're doing over in this country with marijuana and CBD right now. And so I find when you tell people they can't do something, it makes them want to do more, and it's kind of just how we were raised. Hey, well, like, guess what? It's curfew. You have to be in by 1 a.m. Well, guess what? I'm going to stay until 5 a.m. and see if you guys are going to do anything about it. It's just kind of, one of these things that almost kind of bounce back with that. But yeah, I think if people are responsible, and I feel like in other countries, the education's better, the parenting's better as well. So you don't have a lot of that. And I feel like that's going to be happening a lot more, nowadays with, them, having, something that's illegal and then coming back and changing things. But again, it just depends too, on who's making the money behind it. And, as long as the higher ups are making money and, you know, having more capital in, then that's where you'll see that type of thing happen.
Well, Oregon just decriminalized mushrooms, marijuana, 10 different type of drugs.
Hey, so what was the one state that decriminalized cocaine, but they make straws illegal? Did you hear about that? Was that Washington?
Let's look it up.
Yeah, we'll look it up while we talk. Yeah, but Oregon, listen, they pretty much decriminalized everything other than heroin. And in 3 months, their prison population has gone down. And what they did was they taxed it. They taxed the fuck out of it, right? So now they take that tax money, and just like Portugal did, they followed the way that they did it. And what Portugal did was said, look, you want to do heroin? Go into Walgreens. Go into CVS. Now, at first you think of that, well, that's no good. But now it's at least kind of regulated, right?
Yeah.
So now there's not fentanyl on it. Because somebody's going to do, like, right now, we're in Florida. If somebody makes heroin legal, where you can walk into the gas station and get it, are you going to get it?
No.
Me neither. Okay, so whoever's going to do heroin is going to do heroin.
Delray would be the spot, though, if you're going to open something.
I mean, right, but at least, but they would take the tax money from that and put it toward a rehabilitation type of method rather than, okay, you got heroin, boom, we're going to lock you up for 5 years. You know what I mean?
Also, too, I feel like, just to touch on that. But another thing is, just the system and the prison system as well. And, it's, all based just to, keep, the poor and, those type of people like locked away, because as long as you have money and the capital behind it, you can get away with anything. There's people who get away with murder all the time because, they have the money, they pay the lawyers and everything else. So, I'm glad to see them doing some of that,
See, I don't care if Biden wins or Trump wins as long as it's fair, right? But at the same time, I think that, Biden comes out with all these great thoughts, which if they wanted to pay Bernie Sanders off, you don't say it, I'm saying it. They paid him off like they did last time to get out of it because he may have given Trump a run for his money. They put in a guy that's a dummy, right? Because they want Kamala in and Nancy Pelosi comes in behind her. Now, you want to pay for college tuition. Well, who the fuck is going to pay for that? You want up the minimum wage after a epidemic, whatever you want to call it, okay, which I really don't think it is. I think it's just the flu. And if you're older, just like if you got the flu now and you didn't get the shot, you're going to fucking die.
So even the CDC doesn't categorize this as a pandemic or an epidemic because it's less than a 3%, a death rate. And it's not even categorized as from the CDC.
Dave, I want you to read NCBI because nobody's behind it. It's GoFundMe. You pay them. They get third-party testing. It's actually 0.8% of people die. And of those 0.8% people that die had pre-existing conditions. It's like 0.12% that die without some type of pre-existing condition. Now, maybe they did have it, but it wasn't diagnosed. You know what I mean? I know a guy that ran 4 miles a day, every day, in shape. He was 52, healthy. Now, he had to deal with it for 11 days, 12 days. I was kind of shocked that it hit him that long. He was in here last week. He's fine. Couldn't get him to shut up. Matt Cox. Yeah, Bonnie and Clyde, mortgage fraud. Yeah, interesting guy.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I feel like there's more things out there people should be worried about, like obesity, like heart disease, and things of that nature.
Right.
And I mean, it's crazy. It's like, you even go to the strip clubs, and the girls are naked, but they have a mask on, and it's like, listen, Corona is not the one thing I'm thinking about catching from these girls.
Right,
what do
right.
you think about it?
And they put this mask tape, the mask thing on, like that's going to really protect you. We've had, Rob, what, 3 doctors in here, 2 paramedics. All that does is, we were talking about this in the elevator, it weakens your immune system.
That's it.
If you're going to get it, we're probably all going to get it at some point. But are you healthy? Are you taking vitamins, right? I mean, tell me if I'm wrong.
Absolutely. And, there is one vitamin I take every day. and it's something that I recommend to help your immune system. But it's called Epicure, Epicor, and it's really good for the immune system. Or you could take olive leaf, which is not as potent. But I take that every day, and I really believe that's part of the reason why I haven't caught corona, is just because I've been in the gym. I've been taking, supplements to boost my immunity. I've been doing, IVs of vitamin C, which is awesome. And you know what? I've been in crowded nightclubs every weekend. I've been at crowded bodybuilding shows, and, I've been okay, so.
What do you think about the vitamin D? They keep talking about vitamin D and zinc.
Yeah, so I think, a vitamin D is good. A lot of people have deficiencies in vitamin D, but a lot of times too, you have to worry about where you're getting the source from, because a lot of vitamin D is made from horsehair. And so it's not as effective. So, some of the lower grades, you probably want to watch out, how it's made. And as we talked about before, it's not regulated. So you want to make sure of that. A zinc, works well for that. As well. And I mean, there's a whole list of things that you could take, like, turmeric's also a good one. Colloidal silver is another good one.
Turmeric tastes like shit.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Even the capsule, you burp it up and you can taste it. It's horrible.
But you know what? It's
I
probably
haven't, though.
but you know what? It's probably one of the supplements that is kind of like one of the golden supplements that has recently, reappeared. So that's good. Also, beetroot.
So you really believe in the turmeric?
Yes, I do. And actually, my father, he went to the hospital about a couple weeks ago. He suffered a stroke a few years ago.
I'm sorry to hear that, Dave.
Yeah. And so so my mom texted me from his phone, and I send them some supplements to take every day, and tell them some things to kind of stay away from. So those are things I told him to take. Beetroot and then turmeric are the two things that I sent to him.
What's it called? Beetroot?
Yep, beetroot.
How do you spell that?
Beetroot, like BEET, like, just made of beets, but, like the actual root. And it's actually really good for pumps in the gym. If you're looking for some extra pumps in the gym, beetroot is awesome because it helps improve your blood circulation. So if you have like heart issues, like circulatory problems, like that beetroot is awesome.
Now, in these shows, did you ever take Tadalafil or Sildenafil, a.k.a. Cialis, Viagra?
I've never taken that ever in my life, and I would be scared for the female I'm dating if I ever do take that stuff. But
Yeah, well, I have a lot of experience with that one. It would, I mean, not that you fucking need it, but let's just say you wanted to be more veiny. Tadalafil every day would be good for you. It's very good for your heart. I actually saved the guy's life. He was on his
Really?
deathbed. Yeah. Tadalafil and Samorlin. Yeah. Because it pushes the blood flow. You know what I mean? It's really good for your heart, but they don't want to tell you that because then they can't give you the blood thinner. They can't give you. It's the same thing with the modafinil. It's such bullshit.
okay, now if you really want to get vascular, I'll tell you a secret: salt pellets or pickles before you work out.
Well, I love
Pickles.
I love pickles.
Dude,
Yeah.
they're
Yeah,
so
so-
salty though.
Yeah, but I mean, like, eat a bunch of pickles, before you lift and go lift, and you'll get super vascular.
I'm gonna hire you.
Golly. Pickles, pizza,
You're gonna get a lot of
tacos.
hires from this. But no market. If you marketed this, you wouldn't even know it. Your head would be popped off.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I thought about, marketing it a few times, but I like keeping my clientele kind of, small so I can help everyone. Because I mean, right now I already get so many inquiries, per day. So
Yeah, I wouldn't do it if I were you. And this is not my bread and butter. This is my fun. This is like you go to the gym for therapy. I do that too. But like just sitting and talking to cool people, it's just like we're hanging out. Fuck the cameras.
Yeah,
It's just
yeah.
like we're having a conversation, chilling. And I do marketing. That's where my bread and butter is. And I'm telling you as a person that does heavy time marketing, not like a little guy, like big time guy. I wouldn't do it because what would happen is that people would hire you and they would expect results in 2 seconds. And it just doesn't happen that way. Just like marketing. You can hire me, you can pay me 10 grand a month. Well, I make you sign a contract for a year with lawyers. I got 3 lawyers in here when we do it because I know. I don't, no matter how big you are, I already know that in 3 months, if you're not on page 1, number 1, you're going to come bitching. Well, guess what? You signed a contract. If you'd like to go to court, you signed it, not me.
Well, and I mean, honestly, I haven't had, out of hundreds, maybe impossible, thousands of clients, I haven't anyone that's been like unhappy because I give people realistic expectations. I tell them,
But Dave, what I'm telling you is if you marketed it like to what it could be, you would have these type of problems. You know what I mean?
I have a contract and stuff like that to use, but you're definitely right. Because even now, I'm still able to pick and choose the people that I work with. I don't really work with every single person, because some people just aren't a fit, and I give people again realistic expectations. Okay, so listen, you want to tell yourself, worst comes to worst, you're going to lose about a pound a week. Okay, that's a good place to start. Okay, on average, you're going to lose about a pound a week. Okay, you don't want to lose it too fast. And so I give them realistic expectations. And guess what? The program is in your hands. Whether you give 50% or 100%, the amount of work you put in, you're going to get back. So I always try to do that as well. And for the most part, everyone's happy. I've had a few clients that you just can't make happy.
Yeah,
There's always some people like that literally you cannot make happy. I've had clients that I put in the show, they win the entire show, and then they want to hire someone else, and it's just, the way the industry works,
It is. Now, what would you say to somebody, and this is, I guess, my second to last question, right? They lost a lot of weight, but they have extra skin from losing the weight too quick. I hire you. I have skin that I lost, or I lost weight too quick. So now I'm down to the weight that I want to be, but my the skin of my belly is hanging over my belt because my skin hasn't adapted yet. It hasn't, what would you call that? There's a word for it.
That your skin is not elastic enough to.
It takes time for it to rebuild the elasticity. See,
Yeah.
I told you my grammar sucks.
The elasticity within the skin. Yeah.
Yeah. So how would you fix that if somebody hires you? Because I see a lot of people like that, and they get surgery, they get the shit cut off. Now they got a scar.
Okay, so what I recommend. Okay, so first of all, like I always recommend non-invasive, non-surgical techniques first, and then if that doesn't work, there's some people that do need it. I had a client, she just went through it, not too long ago. She, was, probably 300 pounds, and she actually competed in the show. And it was a point to where her skin wasn't bouncing back. There are kind of like non-surgical ways to do it, as far as, like there's cool sculpting, which is out now. That's, very, very popular.
Do you believe in that though?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you?
Yeah, and it's non-surgical, and one of my clients wanted to get lipo, and I told him to do the cool sculpting first.
How many sessions did you tell him to do?
Well, it just depends on what all they need, but the cool sculpting is awesome because you get the procedure done, and you're able to leave and function normally. But like there's a few things that they can do. But there's some people that really can't help it but have surgery. But that's what plastic surgery is supposed to be used for, is people that have maybe like been in a car accident, or just like you said, someone loses 200 pounds and their skin just isn't really bouncing back with them. So
cool sculpting. So you think
everyone's different.
What do you think about stem cells?
I think stem cells are definitely kind of like the wave of the future. And I think right now it's pretty much in its infancy. But I think like in the future, it's definitely, going to be something big. I think that, and, clones, and I have all kind of like conspiracy theories.
Me too. Me and you both.
But that's for another night, I believe.
I had a guy in here from Revive in Palm Beach Gardens, Ben. I don't know if you know.
Ben.
You know Ben?
Mm-hmm.
He was in here, and I didn't know that they made cryotherapy,
Mm-hmm.
where you did like LeBron and Kobe,
Mm-hmm.
which we're gonna get to before you leave. they used to go into like the ice box. And Ben was telling me, no, it's like a tanning bed. You go in it for 2 minutes and it's the same thing. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, and you know, like there's all kind of new advancements coming out, you know, which are awesome. And you know, and you know, like with the cool sculpting, there's actually a place, you know, right here on Federal that does it. It's called Basis Medical. I'll have to have you talk to the guy. His name is Dr. Phil Scuderi.
Dr. Phil.
Yeah, so it's Dr.
Please
Phil.
tell me it's not that Dr. Phil.
No,
That
no.
dirty motherfucker. He's dirty as can be.
Yeah, but you know, he has like the cool sculpting and cool tone and all that stuff. And with the cool tone, it's you know, basically like you just did like 1,000 sit-ups. It's like crazy.
Really?
Yeah, it's like really cool, but it builds muscle.
All right, before we get how to get a hold of you, I had to put that on this thing here. Why do you like Kobe? Kobe, that changed me. That's what, you know, like everybody has like the rock bottom or they wake up. When he died, it changed me. I had 2 years of season tickets. I couldn't even home games. I was living in Pennsylvania. I would leave Thursday, come back Sunday. So I could only go to three, depending on what days they played. I was right across from Jack Nicklaus and Steven Spielberg, and Bradley Cooper sat next to me.
Nice.
It was crazy. So why do you have Kobe on your Instagram?
So you know,
Why is he important to you? Is what I'm saying.
yeah. So you know, that's when he first, you know, passed away, and you know, I'm not really a huge like Lakers fan, but I respect his work ethic, and he's definitely the hardest working player, one of the hardest working players ever, and you know, you'll even hear other players talk about just how hardworking he was. There was some all-star with the Rockets, I believe, and he said when he came in, you know, to the gym to, you know, to shoot the ball, Kobe was already in there. When he left, Kobe was still in there shooting. You know, so you had to respect his work ethic. You know, you had to expect. You have to respect his family values. You know, that's part of the reason why he had the helicopter in the first place, was because he wanted to see more of his daughters, and it got him one place to another very fast and effectively.
In LA traffic.
Yeah. So, you know, that's why he bought the chopper to begin with, was for more family time. You know, so you just had to kind of respect that. And you know, plus two, you know, he's a guy that made mistakes and, you know, fixed them and corrected them. You know, you had to respect that, you know, as well, you know, because, you know, we all make mistakes. I think a lot of times, you know, we get beat up over it, and he's the kind of person that made amends for it. And, you know, you have to respect that.
So you do think people can change?
If people want to change, they can change. Absolutely.
Do you think a narcissist can change?
Absolutely not. I've dated some before, and
Not a woman, a guy.
well, again, it just depends if they want to change.
If a male narcissist wants to change, do you think it's possible?
If they want to change, yes. Have I seen it happen? No, I haven't.
You're talking to one right now, by the way.
Yep.
Do I seem narcissist to you?
No, not at all.
Oh, you didn't know me 10 years ago, buddy. No, I'll tell you a funny story. So, I don't know if you remember, but did you watch basketball at all?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
They were playing Oklahoma City, and Ron Artest, Meta World Peace, elbows, James Harden, I think, he was thrown out. And now I'm on the floor seat. So Kobe's like, give me the fucking ball. Not give me the ball. Give me the fucking ball. I mean, he's got to be dead tired by now. And he's just hitting these things. I mean, he's 10 feet away from the three-point line, and he's hitting them. And we're sitting there, and we're like, what the fuck? And give me the ball. And they're down by like 12. And he's just killing shit, right? So now after the game, everybody's there, you know, everybody shakes hands. You know, Bradley Cooper was there. He doesn't give a fuck about me, but he shook my hand and, you know, all these people. Now, everybody goes back to the locker room. I guess Kobe missed like 5 free throws during that game. The whole crowd's out. There's like 5 celebrities there. I'm just sitting there to feed it up. You know what I mean? Just for my own ego at the time, you know? And he's sitting there shooting foul shots. After playing, I think he played 46 minutes in that game, won the game, hit the winning shot. Like, he had like 3 seconds to hit it. They were down by 1. He hit it. 3-pointer, like a tough ass shot. Everybody's back in the locker room. He's sitting there shooting free throws. He's got the guy picking up the ball, sending it back to him. We were there for an hour talking to people, just, people that we ran into,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. An hour after that, he's still there shooting free throws. I couldn't believe it.
Well, that's the thing is, people that are the best, people don't want to do what it takes to be the best a lot of times. And it's like I said, it's a mentality thing,
And at the time, this will make you laugh. So at the time, I went to a few games with Shaq, and Shaq asked for the ball. And Kobe would say, when you're down there, you can hear things. And he would say to him, work harder, work harder. And Shaq wouldn't work harder. Kobe shot the fucking ball. He missed. And Shaq would, be swearing at him. Well, then work harder, box out better. You know what I mean? Then he got to Dwight Howard. And Dwight Howard asked for the ball. Kobe says, no, you weren't at practice. You didn't work hard at practice. I'm not giving you the ball. Didn't give him the ball. The whole entire game. He got like 8 shots off. And it was when Kobe was on the bench.
Michael Jordan was the same way.
Yeah.
And, it was a point to where, like, if you heard the interview, literally.
When he died, when he was crying on the stage.
No, like, Michael Jordan literally made people cry at practice.
Yeah.
Like, literally.
well, no, he punched, Rob, who did he punch?
Kukoc, right? Was it?
Well, he punched Kukoc, but he put Bill Cartwright.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he punched him because he wasn't working hard enough.
Yeah.
Very few.
You had to respect that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah, they did. So how can we get a hold of you?
Okay, so the best way to get a hold of me is my website, toptierphysiques.com. Or you can go to my Instagram page, which is Top Tier Physiques, and send me a DM. And send me an email or a text message, and we can have a conversation to see if it's a fit for you.
Yeah, text me all that. I'll put that in the description. I'm very thankful for your time.
Absolutely,
you're very impressive. I'm very impressed. I'm getting those.
Likewise.
I'm getting those Louboutins, by the way.
I used to take a picture and send them to me when you get them.
I will. This is a slick guy, by the way. He knows what he's doing. Thank you so much, man.
Hey, it was my pleasure.
I appreciate it.